the Talking About Balls guys too.
Gotcha. It is officially time to break down the Major League Baseball winter meetings. We'll throw some predictions out where we think the rest of the big names shall land. We'll talk about some trade candidates, and we'll talk about my special guest favorite thing, Major League Baseball rule changes. So, everybody, sit back, relax, and enjoy this first hour episode because it is time to lead off because Hitting Home starts right now. And welcome in, everybody, to the first installment of Hitting Home live here only on 609 Sports Talk. I mean, I guess you could say it's the inaugural episode. We've already done 2 of these as it is, but this is the first ever one that is exclusively its own show. And as always, I am your host, Sam Nelson, joined today by my good friend over from the Dueling Aces, Mr. George G3. My friend, how are you on this beautiful Thursday?
A little nippy, but it's all right.
Yeah, it's a little windy over here by me. It's a little windy over here.
Yeah, we're just extremely chilled, extra chilled.
Yeah, good old winter is officially here. Until, one day when it'll be randomly 60 degrees again, because that's what we had yesterday.
60? Good grief.
Yeah, it was like 60 degrees over here yesterday. Because of all that rain we got. And then the wind froze it off again.
Send that back our way.
Yeah, right. So look, as everyone knows, this show will be basically a sporadic show. It'll pop up occasionally around the biggest times around baseball. Of course, this is one of the biggest times around the Major League Baseball offseason. The winter meetings concluded last night. A lot of moves that were made. There are a lot of moves to still be made. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about the top trade candidates around Major League Baseball. We'll talk about the remaining free agents and where we think they will land. We'll talk about that stupid rule change that Rob Manfred decided to bring up, which I think should get him banned from being the commissioner of baseball ever again. Because I think he's done more work bad for the game than he has anything. But I'll talk about that later on in the show. But the first thing we're going to talk about, of course, the winter meetings, wrapping up yesterday. Lots of moves being done. And, of course, the big one, Juan Soto. For once, Scott Boras' client didn't wait till February to sign somewhere. On Sunday night, Juan Soto signed a 15-year, $765 million contract with the New York Mets.
How many Brinks trucks is that, by the way?
I think they're still going. I think they're about on 12 by now. I think there's about 8 more waiting to go to his house.
And that's just for the signing bonus, right?
Oh, yeah. They haven't even gotten the salary out there yet. They asked Bobby Bonilla if he'd be willing to help out with some of this.
I was going to say, that's probably the thing is, that they went, the Bonilla thing's going to end. Now what should we come up with?
Yeah, let's try to make out something else while we're at it, shall we? So I guess the first thing we'll talk about is Juan Soto. We'll go through the list of some of the big moves that have happened already, but I guess the first question, honestly, is, how close does the Juan Soto move bring the Mets as a favorite in the National League?
Yeah, they still have the other agent. that dude is going to make a killing between this and Pete Alonso's deal. This dude is about to make a killing easily. But that, I think, is the problem is, okay, you've dropped, good Lord, you dropped the biggest bomb in sports history. And now it's like, okay, so apparently you were not going to keep Alonso, or what kind of room y'all got with this luxury tax? Something tells me it's Petey's going to go elsewhere, unfortunately. You know,
Honestly, I don't know what Pete Alonso's future with the Mets is.
what
I don't.
can we say at the moment that, it's Bruiser brought it up, and I think and Justin brought it up too last night. And he said, if you looked at the list of and I apologize, I've got it here. If you don't mind doing a share screen real quick.
Let's do it.
I've got the list. Here it is. Dun, 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 dun. Come on. Let me do this screenshot here. Share screen.
Okay, let's bring that up real fast. There you go.
Look at this baby. And I'll try to see about getting a zoom in here. Yeah, there we go. There we go. Now we can see it. Look.
Jesus.
Shohei Ohtani, MVP, right?
Yep.
And I'm crediting Justin with this. Mike Trout's got an MVP. Mookie Betts, I believe, also has. Aaron Judge has. Yep. Machado, I believe, was seriously close. Francisco Lindor would have gotten it this year. And I believe he was MVP with Cleveland. Tatis, pretty darn close. Harper, yes.
Harper got 2.
And the guy is at number 10. The 3 split at the number 10 spot, highly in that conversation. Soto never was. Even though it said he's been in the conversation 5. He's been in the top 10 5 times.
Yes.
It's like, okay, being 9th or 10th, that constitutes you of being up that high as a number 1 highest paid player in MLB. I'm sorry, but I have to pull this as a comparison to the Browns signing Deshaun Watson, man. I don't know. I
personally, I've said this to everybody since this move came down. Juan Soto has been on now. This will be his 4th team in 5 years. Now, don't get me wrong. Give him credit. He turned down the $440 million deal from the Nationals back in 2019, I believe it was. Good for him. Then he turned down another big deal from the Padres. Good for him. And then he basically said no to the Yankees, who gave him a similar deal as the Mets, except the Yankees added an extra year to keep the AAV down. And then, of course, you got all these stupid reports coming out with things that the Mets offered or that the Yankees didn't, and yada, yada, whatever. But have you ever heard of a 25-year-old superstar? Which, look, regardless of what people's opinions are, Juan Soto is a superstar. Have you ever heard of a guy that young that has been on 4 teams in 5 years in Major League Baseball that was not a free agent? Like Bryce Harper was 26 when he signed with the Phillies. He spent that whole length with the Nationals. Machado, same thing with the Orioles. He was traded to the Dodgers because the Orioles knew they were not re-signing him. But I've never heard of a 26-year-old before his real first free agent year being traded to 3 times.
My argument is when he was with the Nationals, he wasn't on that superstar status. He's what we would call in the what they call in the card hobby as a semi-star. And he was a semi-star up until this year. He was a semi-star. but it's because of where he was, I guess, where he was at in the lineup that pushed him up a little bit more higher on the semi-star level. I would not use the word superstar with Soto until it
I don't
was
know.
seriously consistent. He's got to
Yeah,
be
and
seriously consistent over the multitude of all those years, like Bryce
well,
Harper is. I That's why I'm just like, wow, this is the Mets. If we were talking today 765 for Pete Alonso, okay. That makes sense because Pete Alonso is a superstar. They paid 765 for a semi-star. They paid 765 for a guy who was in a good situation to look like superstar status with the Yankees. This is kind of like having say you had like Terrell Davis back in Mike Shanahan's system with the Broncos. But then if you took Davis off of there and say you threw him with Washington, it wasn't going to give you the same results. Why? Because it's the system he was in. Soto was in the right system this past year, in the right lineup, the right opportunity to propel him higher up in that semi-star status. That's my personal opinion on it. I think this could come back to haunt them, especially if Alonso's out the door. And they're putting a lot of pressure. They will put so much pressure on Soto. I think he may crack.
Yeah, well, here's the thing, right? First of all, I have been saying this about Juan Soto since his Nationals days. He is going to look for the team. And this is not an insult because it's the Mets. I said this from the Mets to the Yankees to the Dodgers to whoever. I said he will look for the team dumb enough to fill his bank account as much as possible. He will not care about winning a World Series, which, by the way, the path to the World Series in the National League for the Mets is a lot harder than the path to the American League with the Yankees. The Astros are clearly in a transition year. We're going to talk about them and what their plans are for the future later on. The Central is good, but it's not ever like, look, the Guardians couldn't do it. The Royals couldn't do it. The Central is really never going to be a threat to the Yankees.
No, I don't know. Detroit's coming along pretty nicely.
Yes, but it's probably still at least a year to two away from being up there with the Yankees. They still have pieces to add, and they need to add something in this offseason to really get that fan base like, okay, last year wasn't like fluky. Not saying it was. I think Detroit's a really good young team, but you got to start adding some veteran guys around that young core.
Sure.
The biggest threat to the Yankees was the Orioles. Now, the Orioles are losing a lot of pitching. I don't know if they're still a threat. If you look at the Mets, though, let's just look at this, right? To get to the World Series, Juan Soto has to go through on this list that you have in front of me, George. He had to get through. Oh, you're fine. You're fine. He has to get through on that list. 5 guys. Yeah, let's bring that back up real quickly because all right, let me just add it. Now you're good. You're good. It's all good. So if you look at this list, there are 5 guys on this list that Juan Soto has to get through to get to a World Series. Shohei Ohtani, Mookie Betts, Manny Machado, Fernando Tatis, and Bryce Harper.
And good luck getting through Harper.
And yeah, not to mention, all right, so I want to take this now. Now, you also have to take into consideration Ronald Acuna will be healthy next year. Spencer Strider will come back eventually. Now, what happens with the Braves rotation because of Max Fried leaving? I don't know. But the Braves are still here. And when they are healthy, we see what they've done for decades. They still develop well, and they come in and they do what they do. They win. The Mets, as of right now, the Mets opening day starting lineup right now would be outfield from left to right would go Nimmo, Jose Siri, who they got in a trade with the Rays, and Soto. Which, by the way, if you haven't watched baseball, the one thing I will say about Juan Soto, he is the best pure, he's the most disciplined hitter in baseball. It is hard in this day and age to walk more than you strike out. That is the one thing about his game I will give him. He's got good power. He hits for a high average. But in the field, he may be the worst right fielder in all baseball. If you just go watch this year with the Yankees. And the Yankees' right field is not hard to dictate. It's a straight right field. He's not a good fielder at all. But if you look at this Mets lineup, it's Brandon Nimmo, Jose Siri, Juan Soto in your outfield. Your infield is Brett Beatty, who they're still talking of trading, Francisco Lindor, Jeff McNeil, and apparently now that Mark Vientos is a possibility at first base with Alonso gone. Francisco Alvarez behind the plate, and you got Starling Marte as your DH. Now, again, the Mets are also looking into trading Marte as well. From what I see here, I see an up-and-coming catcher, yes. But if you take that out, you've got Lindor, Vientos, Soto, and a whole bunch of question marks to me. Brett Beatty's probably not going to be a Met in a few weeks. Nimmo, he's okay. He doesn't do anything that blows the doors off you. Jose Siri is a great defensive center fielder who cannot hit. McNeil, always hurt. Marte ain't getting younger. The Mets have to bring back Pete Alonso to make this thing work. Pete Alonso, I already said this. You can sign Juan Soto all you want. Juan Soto will never be the most valuable player on the Mets. The most valuable player to the Mets is Pete Alonso. He is literally the reason they got that far last year. Him and Francisco Lindor are the ones that drive the car. Juan Soto will be along for the ride.
Yep. It's like, who's piloting the Millennium Falcon? Yeah, that's Alonso and Lindor easily. Everybody else is just sitting in the back.
Yeah. And I think Vientos is a superstar in the making. I mean, what he did against the Phillies in the postseason and the Dodgers, he's just got superstar written all over him. Now, granted, I don't think they're going to have Vientos playing first base and Brett Beatty playing third on opening day. It's December 12th. We got a long way to go. But there is nobody else in free agency that is going to bring the value to the Mets that Pete Alonso does. And the thing is with Alonso, I don't know where they stand. Like, we don't hear anything in regards to him right now. I don't even know what his market is.
Well, after what Soto just did, everybody's crapping their pants going, Jesus, it's going to cost a lot.
Yeah. And, like, you're sitting here and you're looking at the way that these teams value just straight power. Well, you don't get much more power than Pete Alonso.
Dude, the contract is ridiculous. I mean, I was looking to see what the other, like Tom Brady and Peyton Manning, I was looking to see what kind of comments they would even have. I didn't see too much coming from those guys as far as, hey, what do y'all think of this contract? I mean, it's $51 million per year.
And also, just remember this. There's an opt-out after year 5.
Right.
And if the Mets want to avoid the opt-out, they have to raise the AAV from 51 to 55. But guess what? I'm sorry. And again, I don't say this because of the Mets. First of all, I love what the Mets did last year. They were dead to rights midway through the season. Remember, Jorge Lopez threw his glove in the stands. It was over. But then they dug down, they put their heels in, and they gutted their way to the NLCS. And I like their team. I have never liked as a ball player, I do, but as a person and how I know he handles himself, I do not like Juan Soto. Because I will tell you this now, and I'm warning my Mets fans. If Juan Soto, by the way, no disrespect to Pete Alonso if he re-signs, 99 ain't hitting behind you no more. Because that's the biggest reason Juan Soto was a finalist for AL MVP. Because the guy that won the damn award.
Yep.
But I will say this: if Juan Soto has 5 years near what he did last year with the Yankees, he'll be 31 years old.
And a very rich dude.
He will opt out of that deal because $55 million a year to him will not be enough. He will want 60. I guarantee it. He will opt out because he'll think he's worth 60. Because he is that greedy of a ball player. That's what he will do.
But the problem is he's going to have to put up those numbers to prove it. And his numbers his numbers will drop this year immensely. And everybody's going to go, well, there's going to be,
hit, I think.
There's something wrong with him. There's something wrong. No, there's nothing wrong. It's that he's not in the big lineup anymore. And like we were just saying, if Alonso's not there, sorry, dude, it's your job to be that big hitter now. Guess what? Welcome to the pressure. Now it is all on you. Now what? Can you handle being the guy?
Yeah,
I don't think he's going to be able to. That's like anybody who's got anything of Juan Soto's, sell it now, baby. Sell it now, sell it fast.
Yeah, because I don't really know.
Dump it now. I'm sorry, but it's not going to be a Shohei Ohtani ordeal. Sorry, folks. This is where things. Some guys ride high, others right on down low. And this is a situation I think it's going to fall out from under him.
Yeah, and like I said, getting Juan Soto is a big move for the Mets. The Mets want to compete with the Dodgers. Juan Soto helps you with that. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it doesn't. But Juan Soto let's understand something. The only team that has struggled without Juan Soto was the Nationals. But that's because the Nationals not only got rid of Juan Soto, they got rid of everybody. Now, look, some of it wasn't their fault, right? Steven Strasburg is never going to pitch again. Patrick Corbin, his arm went out after that first year when they won the World Series. They traded away Max Scherzer. Anthony Rendon left in free agency. Now, actually, Rendon was a good idea because he's been terrible ever since. But not only did they trade away Juan Soto, they traded away Trey Turner, who at the time was another one of their young building blocks. The Nationals gutted their team after that.
Yep. And Philly said, "Thank you very much."
Yeah, right. Yeah, thank you very much.
I'll
take Trey Turner off your hands.
Yeah. I'm sitting here going, darn it, I had to change out the National jerseys for Phillies jerseys.
But now, I'm sorry. Juan Soto's departure didn't bother the Padres too much. The Padres still won 90-plus games this year and got to the playoffs, and they were one win away from eliminating the Dodgers. They still got their stars. They still got Manny. They still got Tatis. They got Jackson Merrill, who is now their young stud center fielder, who, by the way, I still think got robbed for National League Rookie of the Year. But the Padres weren't bothered by it. And honestly, do you really think the New York Yankees are going to be a bad team now because Juan Soto left? It's the New York Yankees we're talking about.
Well, it depends on what else the Yankees are going to lose.
Granted, that's a good point. But a lot of it is judged on what they will give up if they start trading for pieces, which we'll talk about this later on when we get to the trade targets. Like the whole Kyle Tucker thing, it's a great idea. I don't like the package that they would have to give up to get him. And again, it could be a potentially another Soto. Yes, traded for 1 year of a guy. I'm not trading for no Major League Baseball players until I get a contract commitment. Yeah. I'm going to if I was doing it, I'm going to the Astros and I'm saying, look, I need 24 hours. We will agree to this deal if I could start talking contract with this guy for a day. Because I cannot trade prospects for a guy and then lose him in a year. Controllable pieces. That's what you need in baseball. But do people think the Yankees are going to lose 90-plus games next year? I don't think the Yankees have done that in 50 years.
Well, the Yankees got their ups and downs. I mean,
Oh yeah,
they take their turns. It's like they're on the roller coaster ride, but they're always there in the playoffs.
yes. Oh yeah, like there's times where you're like there were times during this huge run with the Astros. The Yankees were great in the regular season, but you knew when they got to the ALCS, all right, the Astros are going to whoop them. But the Yankees are still there. That's my point. They're not going to go off and lose 90 games and become the Nationals. That's not how the Yankee way is. So that's going to be two straight teams that Juan Soto has left, and they're going to be okay. So how valuable is Juan Soto really? That's my question. How valuable is Juan Soto? If the Padres lost him, they were just fine. And the Yankees are still going to be in contention for the AL next year. How valuable is that? Because you've seen teams. You've seen the Braves since Freddie Freeman. I'm sorry, they're not contenders and as fearful as they were with Freddie.
No, and losing Freed right now. Woo, that doesn't help either. That hurts.
That Braves rotation is in trouble.
They're looking, they're in a little bit of trouble, but they're also it's like right now, a lot of people yesterday, that Major League Rule 5 draft happened where they turn around and pull
Yes.
minor league players off the rosters. Yep. And needless to say, the Braves are part of the teams that were plucking, and a lot of pitching went. A lot of pitching. The Braves actually swiped a shortstop from Cleveland, and that dude was just coming up into AAA through Colorado, and it's like, oops, that sucks. So if in a couple of years this Christian Caro is a hot stud, right out the rip, you know how it happened. And Cleveland also lost 4 left-handed pitchers in their minor league system on top of it yesterday as well. Woo! Lots of pitching went yesterday. A lot of pitching.
Well, that's what teams value now is pitching. Unless you're the Pittsburgh Pirates. I'll get to them in a damn second.
Well, here's the other thing. We talked about this. You and I actually covered about how many pitchers were injured this year because of that pitch clock situation that I brought that up. And I am shocked that these winter meetings are over and that the Players Association didn't turn around and make sure that got stuck in their minds at that meeting this week. Over 600 pitchers all hit that DL, IL, whichever way you want to call it, due to the arms. Over 600. That's insane. And henceforth, why you have everybody and their brother going through this Rule 5 draft, and 98% of it is all pitching.
Yeah. Teams will load up on arms because they are always in fear of that. And
it's getting worse.
It is getting worse. Oh, that's nice.
What'd you get?
Today is officially the 9-year anniversary where the Phillies acquired Vince Velasquez from the Houston Astros in a package that started with former superstar closer Ken Giles. Oh, yeah, there's something I want to remember today. Traded a guy that had a great slider and threw a hunter for a guy who had one great outing his whole career and then forgot how to completely throw anything else but a 93-mile-an-hour fastball, which consistently got hit 400 feet out of the yard.
That's okay. Cleveland and the Dolans are stupid, too. They got rid of their gold glove, platinum glove dude and traded him to Toronto.
Yeah, we're going to get into that, too, because that was weird, that trade. I want to get into that. But what about
This
the
is
weirdest.
the Dolans trying to still do Moneyball at the cheapest way they can.
Yes, but there's let's talk about this now. I'll jump back over to the Max Free thing in a minute. I want to talk, but like if you look at the way with the Guardians, yes, there's Andres Jimenez. There's no doubt is one of the greatest fielders in baseball. However, from what Chris Rose has said, the Guardians' top two prospects are middle infielders, so they're going to need somewhere to play. Also, a lot of it could have been the money that was left on his deal and the lack of offensive production he was giving the team. Now, I'm not saying it's a good trade. I liked it better once they flipped Horwitz to Pittsburgh for Luis Ortiz. It made no sense to trade him to Toronto for a second baseman / first baseman who doesn't have much pop. I liked it better when they flipped him to Pittsburgh and got Luis Ortiz and two other young pitching prospects. Because Ortiz is a good young arm. Now, I followed the Pirates very closely last year, so they actually had a really good rotation last year. And, of course, I hit the wrong name. So, Ortiz, where the heck did he go? Where'd he go? I lost him. I freaking lost him.
Uh-oh.
I just had him on here. Come on. There we go. So he appeared in 37 games, and he started 15. He got to be a full-time starter about midway through the season. 7-6, 135 and 2/3 innings, 107 strikeouts, 3.32 ERA. He throws decently hard, but he's not labeled as a strikeout pitcher. His best pitch, I believe they said, is his slider. So he is officially stretched out as a full-time starter. He's a 25-year-old with years left on his deal, so it's another controllable starter. The Guardians needed starting pitching since the only starting pitcher they decided to bring in was bring back Bieber, who won't be ready till mid-season. So, I mean, there's a little bit of there's got to be a little bit of excitement there. At least they brought in a young arm who they'll probably turn into at least solid.
Yeah, it'll be another Cy Young Award winner that we'll trade in about 2.5, 3 years. That's just what they do.
What would really help the Guardians a lot is if Tristan McKenzie would get back to his old days. If McKenzie can bounce back, they're in pretty decent shape. The Guardians are still going to be good. I know the Jimenez thing hurts, but his offensive production has dipped almost every year, since. And they apparently have some middle infield prospects that need somewhere to play in soon. And I forget what the rest of Jimenez's contract was going to be, but it was going to be really hard to spin paying him the money for the lack of production that he was giving them at the plate. I know how great the defense is, but they don't have a star-studded lineup. They got some good pieces. Of course, you got Jose. Jose is the best superstar in baseball that no one talks about. They still have Naylor, who is still at worst going to hit 30 and drive in 100. Then you've got, I'm assuming Noel is going to get a lot more plate appearances next year in right field. They still have Stephen Kwan, who's going to hit leadoff for them. But I feel like they need more offensive production. Now, are they going to go out and look at some remaining bats on the market? I doubt it, because like you said, it's not like they're not big money spenders. So, and plus, the best middle infielder left on the market, from what I'm seeing, for that could play second base consistently, would probably end up being Gleyber Torres, but that doesn't scream Guardians to me.
No, it doesn't. And right now, it's just like everybody else. They need pitching so bad right now. It's not even funny. I mean, because we've got to try to keep our current pitchers healthy enough to last through a season, let alone trying to bring up newer guys who this year, granted, here and there we were okay with a few people, but I mean, the consistency from knowing what you've got in AAA, I think Vought's going to have a much better idea this year, because this was his first year.
Yeah.
Just like with any of the NFL head coaches, it's like, look, got to give these guys 3 years. Let them get dug in, let them get their system in place, get their philosophy going. I think this year Steven's going to have a much better idea of what he's got sitting down in AAA, what he can bring, how he can bring people back and forth, and what he's going to do, and have a much better schedule set up. And in case, all right, if I lose 2 pitchers, due to injury right off the rip, who am I going to bring? I'm sure he's looking at that a lot more even now, just to turn around and tinker with it and go, okay, this is kind of a weird aspect of a rotation of what I've got, what I can do, depending on who falters or who falls off.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, if you're looking at Cleveland right now, Tanner Bivey's going to be in the rotation. Bieber will join the rotation whenever he gets healthy.
Which hopefully should be this year or this next season.
Ben Lively is still there. He will at least, at worst, give you innings. Luis Ortiz will be in that mix. Gavin Williams will be in that mix. I mean, even though he kind of struggled last year, he'll still be in the mix. But again, the big question mark will still be Tristan McKenzie. Can he get back? Now, last year was his first full year back since recovering from surgery. But I mean, his last fully healthy year was 2022, and he started 30 games. He was 11-11 with a 2.96 ERA, and he struck out 190 hitters in 191 innings. So, and even last year, he had 75 and 2/3 innings, and he struck out 74. So that stuff is still there. If he can get back to what he was 2 years ago, that really will help the Guardians. The only issue with that is, I feel like they're still a little too reliant on that. Their bullpen's going to be great. I don't care who's throwing in it.
Well, I personally like Gaddis. I really do. I like Gaddis a lot. I'm looking forward to him, getting stretched out a little bit more and maybe flipping. You could flip him as a starter. I mean, I wouldn't mind that at all.
Yeah.
If I could turn around and actually have him start and actually have him start off, especially if you're going to turn around and do, what some of these teams are now doing, is you're only going to go 4. Hey, you can turn around and have him go 4. That's a great start. And then hit the bullpen for 2 and then finish it out 7, 8, 9. I'm not opposed to that. I'm not opposed to that at all. It sounds like a great setup.
Yeah, it could be. I'm not a big fan of the stretching out elite relievers and making them starters. I don't like it. I think it's stupid. Like, I'm sorry, the Mets are doing it.
Maddox did it. Maddox actually did it. He had a pretty solid career.
That's a different age we're talking about. Maddox also didn't throw 98, 99. And my issue with it is, like, the Mets are going to do it with Clay Holmes. Clay Holmes is already an average enough reliever. Now they're going to make him a starter? Did you watch what the Guardians did to him in the ALCS? So I don't know how much of that is really going to. I just don't like it. Like, I heard Jeff Hoffman, who's one of the best relievers left on the market. I heard they're trying to get him to do it. I don't want them doing it either. Why take something that you're already great at and potentially ruin it?
Yeah, but I think Gaddis has shown he can do it, and that's the thing.
Yes, but also Gaddis has shown how much of an elite reliever he is. And then you got to replace that in the bullpen. That's
Yeah. Like I said, I think doing it for, those games where you've got to go, you're going to end up with, we've got doubleheader this day, then you're boom boom, you got 4 in a row. I don't mind trying. I don't mind pulling that off. In that type of a stretch. You know, especially if if the guy is not probably pitching those first 3 days. I mean, and you're going to go on your 4th day. Why not give it a whirl?
true. I also just think we're eventually going to get to a point where all teams are running 6-man rotations.
Oh, I think it may even be 7.
Oh God! Especially with that new rule, that potential new rule of pitchers having to go a certain amount of innings.
Yeah. I know we're getting close to talking about stupid. We'll get to him later.
God, I don't want to talk about Rob Manfred more than I have to. But
Right.
so speaking of back to what we were talking about after Juan Soto, the Yankees, the team who lost Juan Soto, they were the second. They were the team to make the second big strike, and they were able to pry Max Fried. Thank you very much, Yankees, away from the Braves. Fun fact: this is the largest deal in the history of baseball for a left-handed pitcher. 8 years at $218 million. I had to just look that up real fast. So the Yankees are clearly into their plan B of what was going to come if they were not be able to retain Juan Soto. So Fried is going to slot right in to that number 2 spot in their rotation behind Garrett Cole. You get to move Carlos Rodon down to number 3. Then you get to move your young guys down even more. Like you have Luis Gil, rookie of the year. He's your 4 now. Clark Schmidt, he'll be your 5 now. I don't know what they're going to end up doing with Cortez and Stroman. It could sound like they could possibly both be moved for some offensive help. I really don't know how much value either of them hold, especially Nestor Cortez, who was really banged up over the past couple of years. So I'm not really sure what he brings in back in terms of a trade. Stroman is still a very good regular season pitcher. I don't know what he brings you in the postseason because he doesn't throw the hardest. He's still a ground ball pitcher, very good at it, but it sounds like if there's one that'll stay, it sounds like it could be Stroman. Now, the Yankees may not move either of them until they see what happens on their trade requests. I mean, I've heard they've been in on Cody Bellinger. I'm hearing they've been on Kyle Tucker. I'm sure that they're still interested in free agents like Christian Walker because they desperately need first base help. Pete Alonso's name has not come up with the Yankees, so that kind of screams to me that he still is in play to go back to the Mets. Because once again, I have not heard anybody that is really interested in Pete Alonso. Because I really think it's kind of like Pete Alonso doesn't want to go anywhere else. So I still think Pete Alonso. I still think Pete Alonso ends up with the Mets. I think it's not even that I think he will. I think the Mets have no choice but to re-sign Pete Alonso.
Yeah, but what are you gonna? What? I mean, dude, the Monopoly man is sitting in the back going, I don't know where you're gonna find some more money yet, but we're gonna have to start checking the couch cushions.
Steve Cohen has the money. They don't care about the luxury taxes. They don't care. The Phillies, they don't care about the luxury tax.
You're paying a semi-star $51 million. You have a superstar. You'd have to pay 60 to 75 million because he is a superstar.
You think Pete Alonso is more of a star than Juan Soto?
Yes, absolutely.
I may disagree on that. I think Pete Alonso is a very good player. I don't think he's on, but From what
He
it
is-
sounds like with
But
Alonso, his market.
you even said at the beginning of this show,
Oh, he's more valuable
he
to the
is
Mets than
the
Soto. Yes.
he is the most valuable. He is the MVP of the team. He is the superstar of this team. I explained why I said Juan Soto is not a superstar. I made that argument earlier. But yeah,
And I don't.
he's gonna be looking for more than what Soto. That's why they said he's been waiting. He's rejected everything because he's waiting to see what the Soto deal was gonna be. And I
Yeah,
think he's gonna be more.
I don't think Pete Alonso is going to be more. I think he's also. Remember, we got to remember something. Also, he's also older than Soto. Pete Alonso is also a few years older than Soto. So,
Yeah.
from what they were saying on MLB Network, his deal is going to be something around possibly 7 to 8 years and 200 plus million is what I've been hearing.
Yeah, I happen to see I saw
So
the
that's what you're looking at for Pete Alonso. And I don't see any other team that he fits. He's not going to the Yankees. He is not going to the Red Sox. He won't go to a team like the Guardians, because the Guardians ain't going to throw out $200 million on Pete Alonso. The Guardians don't want to spend $200 million on their entire freaking organization, better than one player. That, and if you do that, then that means you got to do something with Josh Naylor. So, I don't know. I don't know. Pete Alonso, to me, is just, it's a Met, and that's it. I really do not think that Pete Alonso leaves the Mets. I don't see another team that he fits on. I made the joke of him going to the Yankees because I thought it would be
I wanted to
funniest thing
smack
ever.
you through. I wanted to smack you through the screen. Just
Yeah, I thought it'd be funny because it would just be basically like a New York for New York swap. I think it would be something that would be very funny to watch. But I, for one, do not believe that. I don't see Pete Alonso going anywhere else but the Mets. I don't see it, and I just don't think it's going to happen. So now, back over to the Yankee side, I like Max Fried in there. I think he's not a heavy strikeout pitcher like a Garrett Cole, more of a ground ball guy. He's going to keep the ball on the ground. He's going to keep the ball in the ballpark. The Yankees needed another starting pitcher, even if they did bring in Juan Soto, because that rotation, Carlos Rodon is fine. He's very spotty and inconsistent in terms of what he is. One night you're going to get 6 innings, no runs, 8 strikeouts. It's going to be really good. Next night it's going to be like 5 walks in 2 innings, and it's going to be like 6-0 before you blink your eye. Rodon now gets to move down to the number 3 spot, which I think is better for him. Fried slides in between him and Cole, which I think is really good. And then you got the 2 young righties in the back end, unless they're traded for another player. Because the Yankees are not done. They have to add bats. They're still in the relief pitcher market. The Yankees are not done. They've got a bunch of guys they're looking at. In terms of hitters, like I said, they're looking at Kyle Tucker. They're looking at Bellinger. I heard Anthony Santander's name early in the process, which it's a very shock that I had not heard about Anthony Santander a lot during the winter meetings. I'm surprised he wasn't signed already. Teoscar Hernandez is a name I've heard sporadically, but I still don't know if he actually leaves the Dodgers, even though it sounds like it's not very confident in both sides that a deal will get done. The Dodgers also added Michael Conforto, so it may throw a monkey wrench into that whole situation. In terms of the Yankees, I'm not sure if the Yankees are. I think the Yankees are done looking for starting pitching. I think Max Fried was what they were looking for, and that's it. Relievers, they're looking at the top ones. They're looking at Kirby Yates. They're looking at Tanner Scott. They're looking at a trade for Devin Williams from the Brewers, which knowing the Brewers, you could probably have him for free. Because that's the Milwaukee motto, baby. Get him in here for 5 years, make him productive, get rid of him for nothing. Hello, San Francisco. But no, I think the Yankees are. I think the Yankees saw the potential to be really good next year because I like their plan B, and I kind of have I'll get more into it as we go through the list of remaining free agents and trade candidates because there's a couple guys on there that make a lot of sense for the Yankees. But I like them. I love the free signing. I like it for two reasons. Number one, the Yankees needed another established guy. Like we talk about them all the time. They haven't won the World Series with these two yet, but how much better do you get starting pitching wise than Aaron Nola, Zach Wheeler? Like they're easily one of the best 1-2 punches in baseball.
Yeah.
You got to have at least those two guys in the front of your rotation. Garrett Cole, even though he was banged up last year, still pitched his ass off when they needed him to. Max Fried, game. Like I said, he doesn't have the strikeout stuff, but he kind of reminds you of like a left-handed Aaron Nola. Not heavy strikeout stuff. Can use it when he needs it, but he keeps the ball on the ground. Now, unlike Aaron Nola, Max Fried keeps the ball in the ballpark a little better. But somehow Aaron Nola still gives up 65 home runs a year, and he still pitched to an ERA under 3.5, which that's fine with me. But no, I like Max Fried.
Yeah, and secondly, you like him because he's out of the freaking National League.
That's my favorite thing. They got Max Fried away from the Phillies. The Phillies haven't hit Max Fried in 5 years. You can keep Spencer Strider. You can keep Spencer Strider. We'll hit him all day. We can't hit Max Fried. The Phillies could never hit Max Fried.
Can you imagine Alonso with the Nationals? The Nationals are one of the prime fits that they said they would love to have a veteran bat around their young core, and especially because Pete Alonso has a very nice little average in that ballpark to begin with as well.
The Nationals are a team. That is a very interesting thing that I didn't even think of. They do have a very nice young core of players that they have. I mean, Keibert Ruiz is their catcher. He is very good behind the dish. Not the greatest hitter. Hit 229 last year, but behind the plate, he is sensational. CJ Abrams, easily probably their most skilled player. I mean, I know there was an incident last year where he was sent to AAA in the final week of the season because he apparently was in St. Louis. He was out late, and they had to hold him accountable for it. But they have basically Luis Garcia is their second baseman. Hit 280 last year. Had 18 homers. Drove in 70. They've got a very young. They have a lot of young players that are really starting to take shape. They had James Woods, who's another one of their young outfielders who came up late last year, played really well. The Nationals have a really young, good core group of players. They need to add some starting pitching to it, but if you have a chance to add a Pete Alonso to that, now again, I still don't know. Does Pete Alonso want to be part of a rebuild? Probably not. But
hey, if they're going to pay you and your slash line's 304, 391, and 619, and your OPS there is a 1.0 on top of it, and you've knocked 15 dingers on top of it. Yeah, I'm in. Hey, I'm comfy in that ballpark. Sure, why not? Why the hell not? And you're going to get paid.
Sure.
and I'm good in the ballpark. Okay.
Well, got to go far. You're staying in division.
Right.
Yeah, there's not many, and that's the thing. The reason you don't really know of good fits for Pete Alonso because there's not a lot of teams expressing the interest because, again, I just don't think teams think he's going to leave. I think he's just waiting for the Mets to.
They're worried about
Yes, but I also think a part of him realizes that. Here's the other thing with Juan Soto, right?
He's only going to be 30. Pete's 29. He'll just be turning 30 by opening day. So he's still a young 30. I mean, people to sneeze at.
Like someone was complaining about, I think it was Mike Francesa. He was complaining about Max Fried getting 8 years. Like, dude, he's 30. Like, 30's not old in baseball.
No.
Here's the thing. For all these people complaining, this goes back to Bryce Harper because Bryce Harper and Manny Machado is what started this, right? the big contracts, the 13-year deals. That's when all this became popular. If the Phillies or the Padres win one world championship in those years, it's all worth it.
Yep.
It doesn't matter. You're not going to, and that's the other thing I hate when people they hate the Dodgers, saying the Dodgers are ruining baseball. You do realize we haven't had a repeat winner of the World Series in 25 years.
And you have no salary cap, so quit your whining.
Yes, stop feeling
you're whining.
Like
NFL teams would kill to have this set up.
Yeah, absolutely. And baseball, here's what I hate when people say, oh, no other team could have offered Juan Soto that. Yes, they could. Every owner in baseball is at worst almost a billionaire.
Yeah.
You can offer him whatever you want. I don't feel bad for teams like the Pirates who sit out there and are like, oh, we don't have that money. But then they turn around and say, oh, by the way, that big three-headed monster at the top of our rotation? Paul Skeens, Mitch Keller, Jared Jones. Oh, yeah, Mitch Keller and Jared Jones are on the trade block. I don't feel bad for you then because you're trying to get worse.
Oh, and you're giving away the farm for 30 years for 2 tickets behind home plate if they find what's his face's one of one baseball card on top of that too.
It's odd.
Just to make sure that Topps stays in business because they're in trouble.
Yeah, right.
I mean, come on. That's the only reason why they wanted people going out buying all those baseball card boxes. All that did was turn around and sprout it up, and everybody and their brother went hitting the stores for them so they could hit the secondary market and sell them for 6 times more than what they're worth just to find one baseball card. Yeah, that's way to save Topps. I mean, that had to be a backdoor deal somewhere. Good grief.
But yeah, so I don't feel bad for teams that do that. If you want to say, oh, we can't spend money, but we're going to trade 2 of our best starting pitchers, that's your fault. That's your problem then. So let's just go. I'm just going to run down this list real quick. There's not many bigger names. I just want to talk about some of the teams that have been pretty active this week. So far through the winter meetings, what we have here is we had Frankie Montas also signed with the Mets. He's going to help fill out some of that rotation. A quick thought I have on that was something I want to talk about with the Mets as well. Juan Soto and Pete Alonso are great. You know why? You're going to score about 8 or 9 runs to win games because that rotation is gutted. You lost Sean Manaea is still a free agent. Jose Quintana is still a free agent. Who else did they lose? They lost Luis Severino. I mean, Frankie Montas basically will replace Severino. I think it's a very good. I kind of fit him in the same bill with Severino, a guy that a team could kind of make their reclamation project out of him. I actually really like the move, but so you got Frankie Montas signing on with the Mets. Aroldis Chapman is going to the Red Sox on a 1-year deal. So the Red Sox add to their bullpen. What's up, Dalton? How you doing, buddy? Of course, you always catch Dalton and our 302 Birds podcast friends on Wednesday nights. They also do Eagles post-game shows. They do Phillies post-game shows. I've been happy to be on part of them for some times here and there. Dalton, if you want to laugh in about 5 minutes, I'll be roasting the Phillies in about 10 minutes, so just give me a second. So yeah, I got Aroldis Chapman going to the Red Sox. Blake Snell went to the Dodgers. Luis Severino went to the A's. Which, by the way, it's actually groundbreaking news. Luis Severino, with his $67 million, is the largest contract given out in Oakland A's history.
Okay.
I hate the Oakland A's.
I'm sorry, isn't that the Las Vegas A's?
No, it's the Sacramento A's, so their stadium's ready.
Oh, it's Sacramento now?
Whatever. Touched base on this earlier. Shane Bieber is back with the Guardians. Clay Holmes went to the Mets. Willie Adames went to the San Francisco Giants. The Orioles added a pair of right-handed hitters, Tyler O'Neill and Gary Sanchez. That kind of tells me Anthony Santander will not be going back to Baltimore. The Dodgers, in my opinion, I believe found their Teoscar Hernandez replacement, signing Michael Conforto. The Dodgers also re-signed relief pitcher Blake Tryon. Phillies signed relief pitcher Jordan Romano to a one-year deal. Tigers decided to give Alex Cobb $15 million for 1 year. I have no idea what the hell they're doing. Rockies signed former Giants infielder Thairo Estrada to a one-year deal. Andres Jimenez was traded to the Blue Jays. Spencer Horwitz was traded from the Blue Jays to the Guardians for 10 seconds, then to the Pirates. Of course, Luis Ortiz went back to the Guardians. The Texas Rangers actually made some very interesting moves. They re-signed Nate Eovaldi. They traded for Jake Berger from the Marlins, which, thank you, because all Jake Berger does is hit 3-run home runs against the Phillies. And the Boston Red Sox arrowed out the winter meetings with a huge trade acquiring Garrett Crochet from the White Sox for 4 minor league prospects. Georgie, is there anything out of any of those teams you want to bring up for a second?
Nope, not even Cleveland.
You're still not happy, are you?
It's get to be salty is all I want. No,
well,
it is what it is, and we've got 9 more weeks of hell to go through yet too. I mean, it's going to get uglier before it gets better, as they say. So, yeah, I mean, we're going to see a lot. I mean, there are just too many guys. There are too many free agents, and right now between Soto and Fried's contracts, I mean, this is only about to get worse.
Yeah, but that's the thing. You thought with Juan Soto going. See, that's the one thing I do like about Juan Soto. He got it out of the way quickly. He was ready to go Sunday. He signed, sealed, delivered, done. I thought that would have sprung the winter meetings to be a shit show. And it turned out to be such a dud after the Max Fried signing. It was like, what are we doing here, guys? So let me just give some thoughts on some teams real quick. After you see the Max Fried deal, for the people saying the Dodgers are ruining baseball, no, they're just smarter than everybody else because they gave Blake Snell half of that. They're just ahead of the game. Because Blake Snell only got 5 years and like $180 million. That's an old school baseball contract. The Dodgers are just ahead of everybody else. And you're going to plug him into that rotation with Yamamoto, with all the guys that they're going to have coming back. Glass now will be healthy. Hopefully the Dodgers rotation stays healthy. Because their bullpen's elite, but you don't want to bullpen your way with only 2 starters. Trust me. I watched the 2022 Phillies. That's the reason we lost the World Series. I hate to say it, but I like what the Dodgers have done so far. Like I said, they brought in Blake Snell to solidify the top end of that rotation. Yeah. They brought back Blake. They brought back Blake Tryon, who has done nothing but been one of the most steady relievers in baseball for them. I love Michael Conforto going there. I think Conforto is really going to help them in the outfield. Again, I don't know what this means for Teoscar Hernandez, but Conforto, he had 20 homers for San Francisco last year. I really like what he brought. He brings from the left side of the plate. This list is all over the place. All right, I only got 2 other. The Orioles, like I said, I like Tyler O'Neill going to Baltimore. I think that ballpark helps him a lot. I mean, he had like 30 homers out of the leadoff position last year for Boston. Like, he really helped the Red Sox out last year. I like that addition. Gary Sanchez will be there. He'll DH most likely for them most of the time. That screams to me still that they are moving on from Anthony Santander. I do not see Santander going back to the Orioles.
No, probably Miami.
You think Santander goes to Miami?
Just saying.
I'm starting to think a rebuilding team is going to add Santander. I don't see him going to like a legit contender. I just, for
I'm
some
sorry.
reason, I'm not seeing it.
You had to try to put Miami and legit contender in the same sentence and say that with a straight face. That's pretty good.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I don't think legit can. Like, I don't hear him rumored to Boston. I don't hear him rumored to New York. I don't hear him rumored to Philly. I don't hear his name at all. So I think a team that makes a lot, and I want to bring it like a team that's like they're young, they're rebuilding, and they're moving in the right direction makes more sense. I have not heard his name brought up a lot.
Well, as I said, Miami, Colorado,
Washington. Washington makes a lot of sense.
Washington. Yeah, Washington.
You put him in that ballpark, he's hitting 40 like he's been doing in Baltimore. The problem, though, with the Nationals is they need starting pitching. Their rotation's got a lot of young, promising players, but a lot of them are banged up.
Yeah, they were really active in that draft yesterday. Woo-hoo.
Oh yeah, their pitching has been banged up for years. It started years ago.
Yeah, they were seriously active on their pitching yesterday.
Now, another team on this list that only made 2 moves were the Texas Rangers, but I love both these moves. Number one, they brought back Nate Eovaldi, who basically set the market for the mid-tier starting pitchers, guys like Sean Manaea, Jack Flaherty, Jose Quintana. They're going to get a pretty penny now. I mean, Nate Eovaldi basically was the biggest reason the Rangers won that World Series a couple years ago. But another thing they did was they brought in Jake Burger from the Marlins. Now, Burger was acquired from the Marlins 2 years ago from the White Sox, shockingly, to help give them some power. Because even though the Marlins made the playoffs 2 years ago, they could not hit for power that year. And they brought in Josh Bell, they brought in Jake Burger, and they both helped them out a really good amount. Burger has hit back-to-back seasons of at least 28 home runs. I'm not sure where he'll play. I mean, he'll probably DH some. The Rangers have also brought in Kyle Higashioka, the catcher from the Padres, who was with the Yankees. I love that a lot. It sounds like they're trying to give Jonah Heim some more time away from the dish, and Higashioka can help that a lot. It sounds like they're going to revolve DHs. It sounds like Heim will DH a lot. It sounds like Berger will DH a lot. I'm sure Seager and Simeon will get some DHing games to keep them out of the field, just like maybe once or twice every other week. Seager definitely needs it because Corey Seager can't. Death, taxes, and Corey Seager gets hurt. That's what baseball is for the Texas Rangers. I love Corey Seager, but the guy's always hurt.
Yeah, that's why Seattle was like, yeah, deuces.
But no, Jake Burger, I like him. He's a power hitter. The one thing the Rangers really struggled for, and I looked at this on StatCast, they struggled hitting the fastball last year. I don't understand how you're struggling hitting a straight ball that comes at you 90 plus miles an hour. Breaking ball, different. I've seen teams. I'm a Phillies fan. All we do is struggle with the breaking ball. But Burger hits really well against the fastball, and it's going to be another power hitter for the Rangers. I really like what the Rangers did. I like what the Yankees did with Fried, and I know they're not done. I'm going to have those predictions here in a second for our next segment. And then I got two more real quick. The Phillies with Jordan Romano. Jordan Romano from 2021 to 2023 was one of the best relief pitchers in baseball. He's coming off of an elbow injury this year that limited him to 15 games. ERA was over 6. He was banged up. He's going to be healthy for spring training. But for a team that is supposed to be a National League contender to go to the World Series every year, here's my thought with the Phillies, okay? I get it. It's only December the 12th. There's still plenty of big fish. There's still trades to be made. I get all this. But you had the luckiest luck of the draw last year. The Atlanta Braves had almost every star player miss at least 2 months of the season at some point last year. You were able to dethrone them as the National League Eastern Division champions. You then got embarrassed in the NLDS by a team that got in on the final weekend, literally the final extra day of the season. You did not lose to the Mets. You got embarrassed by the Mets. They made you look like you were the team that barely got in. And not only does that team go out and sign the biggest fish on the market, the only response you've done so far is sign a relief pitcher to a one-year deal who, yes, by the way, if he's healthy and back to what he was those 3 years in Toronto, it's a great addition. But you have lost Carlos Estevez and Jeff Hoffman in that bullpen. That's your 8th and 9th inning guys from July 31st on. Jeff Hoffman was an all-star last year for you. Not to mention, you have a 34-year-old catcher who is getting older. I don't know what you're doing at third base with Bohm. I hear he's on the market. Rob Thompson said he's not. You don't have a left fielder because Brandon Marsh is not an everyday player. As much as I love him, he is going to platoon in center with Rojas. They need to add a left fielder that plays every day. Oh, by the way, Taijuan Walker is still in your starting rotation. And Philly fans, let me warn you something. Yes, Andrew Painter is healthy. He is their top pitching prospect. I think he is going to be an absolute stud because guess what? He's 21 years old. He got that major arm surgery out of the way now. Go look at his Arizona Fall League numbers. He was sensational. He's hitting 98 again. He's getting swings and misses. He's doing everything that he was before he got hurt. The Phillies are not going to say to him, here's 180 innings, kid. Have fun. No.
They shouldn't.
They won't. They're not. This is why they did what they did with him. They protected him from this stuff. They're going to give him an 80 to 100 inning pitch limit if he's on the big league roster, which I think he will be. Because I'm sorry, I could beat out Taijuan Walker to be the fifth star. Hey! Try hitting that 45-mile-an-hour knuckleball, baby. Try hitting it.
Fair enough. I was going to say Bryce could turn around and beat him. Bryce is throwing 66, 67.
Here's the other problem. Ranger Suarez is only good for about 150 innings because the second that he gets to the second half, he is exhausted. What have I said to George? You've heard me say this before. Has nobody found it weird yet that the Phillies gave Christopher Sanchez an extension before Ranger Suarez? Ranger Suarez is one of the best stories for the Phillies. He was the bullpen arm at first. He came into the rotation. He's been sensational. But did anyone ever find it weird that he did not get the in-season extension? Because Christopher Sanchez is a born starter. He can last longer in season than Ranger. I love Ranger to death. But just go look. He had 15 days almost off between the last day of the season and the game he pitched against the Mets, and he barely got through 4 innings. And he only gave up like 1 run because he was exhausted. He is not a 170 to 200 inning pitcher. Zach Wheeler, he can give you that. Aaron Nola, we know he can give you that. Now, Christopher Sanchez, he could probably give you about 150 to 165, 170 maybe. But he's your number 4 starter. That's fine. You need to add another guy in between that. I don't know if you got to trade for him. I don't know if you got to sign him. All I know is that I love the Phillies, but for a team that is going to have the Braves back healthy and the Mets adding Juan Soto, they are really, really starting to get on my nerves with this. We really like our club. Well, yeah, you can like it all you want. That's why my screen name says this Dave's sleeping. I need to know Dave Dombrowski's actually awake. Because, you can look, I'm all for the PR stuff, right? I get it. We love this club. This club has not been good enough to win a World Series. I know you think that 2022 run is okay with the fans. It ain't. Because you didn't even win the damn World Series. Your offense has gone cold every October at the worst possible time. You have too many guys in the lineup that can't play the field. You're going to have to start DHing more guys than Kyle Schwarber because you refuse to realize that JT Realmuto at 34 years old, even though this is the final year of his deal, it's going to get worse. He's suffering from knee injuries. It ain't going to get better.
Yeah, and that's a shame because that guy literally he has had a Hall of Fame career on top of it.
Yes.
And it's just, hey, listen, do what the Giants did with Buster. You gotta get him out behind the dish, give him a little something, give him a little respect on his way out the door, and treat him like a king. Give him his big hurrah going out. Do it right. But
there's the problem. And that's the problem what they've done. Bryce Harper plays first base because he can't DH because Kyle Schwarber can't play the field. There's two, and also, here's the other thing. I
Oh,
get the Alec Bohm.
I'm sorry, but I'd be bouncing Schwarber in a minute.
So that's what I'm getting at with this. Like, look, Bryce Harper ain't going anywhere.
No.
Trey Turner ain't going anywhere. They have too many years left on their deals. Castellanos is not my problem either. Castellanos was great for them last year and in the postseason. Here's the problem. And there's my issue with the Alec Bohm thing. I know Alec, there have been rumors of, they don't like his attitude sometimes when he gets in the slumps. He gets really pouty. He's still only 28 years old. But what you're doing with Alec Bohm, who, by the way, doesn't make pennies on the dollar compared to what Kyle Schwarber, JT Realmuto, and those guys make. What you're doing by trying to move Alec Bohm, which, by the way, congratulations, Phillies. You really haven't developed a lot of homegrown talent. You've kind of put this line together through free agency. Alec Bohm was probably the best player they have developed hitting-wise since Chase Utley, Jimmy Rollins, or Ryan Howard.
Oh.
And what you're doing by this is you are not holding accountable the $20 million veterans in that lineup. I'm sorry, JT Realmuto didn't have one hit in the Mets series. Has he been held accountable? Clearly not. Kyle Schwarber, I went to game 1 of the NLDS. Hit a ball 400 feet, first at bat. Next at bat, single to center field. After that, rest of the series, goose egg. Did they just get to stay here and do it again? And they're making $20 million. Now, a lot of their money comes off the books after this year. JT's done after this year. Kyle Schwarber's done. I am not re-signing either of them. It's time. The one thing I'll say about the Phillies, and I'm going to segue this into the Red Sox. I want to talk about them before we move into our predictions for the remaining free agents. You saw what the Red Sox gave up for Garrett Crochet. It's a hell of a lot. Apparently, what the Phillies did, they did put Aiden Miller in a package for Garrett Crochet. But the White Sox wanted Painter, and the Phillies were not doing it.
No.
I like what the Phillies are doing in that regard. I like what they're doing with saying we don't want to do what the Phillies did in 2011. Because what the Phillies did in 2011, Ryan Howard tore his Achilles.
Yep.
I'm sorry, I would have been done with you that day. Not because I don't love you, but I know when you tear your Achilles over age 32, you are never going to be the same guy.
Nope.
Jimmy Rollins was 33. When the speed with Jimmy Rollins went, so did everything else. Chase Utley had been battling tendonitis in his knees for 3 years before 2011. He was 33. They held on to those guys 3 years too late, and it cost them almost a decade of productive baseball. That's the one thing I'll give the Phillies credit. They don't want to give up Justin Crawford. They don't want to give up Andrew Painter. They don't want to give up Aiden Miller because they don't want to repeat that mistake. They want to have Bryce Harper here, Trey Turner, and they want to be able to cycle in young players that'll be productive at the big league level so they don't have to go out and put together a lineup full of 30-plus-year-old players every year. I respect that. However, you don't have many arms in the rotation, and Painter's only one guy. Taijuan Walker cannot be on the Philadelphia Phillies this year. Ranger Suarez, I don't think will be on the Philadelphia Phillies after this year. They need to revamp some things. They don't have – and here's the thing. People can say, oh, they can't sign a left fielder because of Justin Crawford. Justin Crawford's not a left fielder. I went to Lakewood this year. I watched Justin Crawford. First of all, the kid's faster than his dad. You thought Carl was fast. Justin Crawford runs faster than Carl Crawford did when he stole that money from Boston. So he is the center fielder of the future.
Yeah, I was
so for this year,
shouldn't he be playing center?
He is, and he's fast as all hell. He's going to be your everyday center fielder. Brandon Marsh and Johan Rojas, I will trade them gladly for some pitching. They need to find an everyday left fielder right this second. That lineup, because at least for this year, again, this is another year you got to go for it. You still have Harper, you have Castellanos, you have JT, you still have Schwarber. You still have all these guys together for one more year. Because remember, like I said, JT's up after this year, so is Kyle Schwarber. You have at least one more year to go for this thing. You have to bring something to it. Your strength most of the season last year was your bullpen, which, yes, it struggled late, but it also was used a lot because your starting rotation didn't go deep into games outside of Wheeler and Aaron Nola. Ranger Suarez can only do so much by himself. Christopher Sanchez can only do so much. You need to get, and the lineup, yes, it goes cold every October. It needs some juice put into it. It needs some new blood for at least a year, which will be, could it be an Anthony Santander? Maybe, I don't know. Could it be a Teoscar Hernandez? I don't know. But
I'm sorry, I was just looking at this. When did Dylan Carlson become a free agent? He's a free
he got
agent.
traded
Right?
from,
He's a free
yeah, he
agent.
got
Right
traded
now.
from the Cardinals dealt him to the Rays, and the Rays DFA'd him.
Yeah, he's available.
That could be an interesting reclamation project for some team.
Well, I'm saying for the Phillies.
I don't know. It could be. I'm not sure. I wouldn't mind it.
Age 26. Ring a bell? Hey, 26 years old. Oh, okay.
It could be. That could be an interesting fit.
Because everybody else.
I've also heard them be
Adam
interested
Duvall, David Peralta,
No.
Tommy Pham, Jankowski.
Oh,
these guys are all like mid to late 30s, dude. There is.
Jankowski's already been a Philly once before, anyway.
You got Carlson and De La Cruz are sitting there saying, okay, couple of young dudes. I mean,
I like Brian D. Wait, is that Brian De La Cruz you're talking about? I love Brian. I would not mind. I would not mind taking a flyer on Brian De La Cruz. He was really productive for the Marlins over his career, and he was solid for the Pirates last year. I would have no issue giving a shout out there.
Yeah, he's a free agent too.
But yeah, like they need something. But now, then again, you make the point though, like Teoscar Hernandez coming off a World Series, that would provide some spark. You need something. You cannot run. If you're going to run this shit back with the same damn team again, you have to add to it. You can't just say, oh, we're going to bank on Jordan Romano to be a 60-inning reliever again. If he blows his elbow out again, then you're looking at a bullpen of Matt Strahm, Jose Alvarado, and Orion Kerkering. I don't know who else is coming in to save that. Now, those three are great. The problem is they can't be the only guys. Like, there needs to be more added to that bullpen.
You ain't gonna like the statues.
And, like, you have Tanner Banks. Like, okay, Tanner Banks is as good as, like, your sixth reliever. And outside of that, they brought Jose Ruiz back. He's, like, your fifth best reliever. Yeah, they need to add to their – they got to add to their bullpen. They need to add a starter. They need to add to their bullpen. They need to add to their outfield. They need another bat. They got to go look for a bat.
Wow, I did not see that coming. I did not know Jock Peterson was a free agent. That's interesting.
Jock Peterson, there's a name.
Yeah, I did not know he was a free agent.
I honestly didn't know that. I didn't know Jock Peterson was a free agent either.
And pitching-wise, Jack Flaherty, not too shabby.
Yeah, there's still a lot out there.
I mean, well, there's also a lot of medic out here too. Dude, I thought we still got shafted, and Cleveland even had him for a cup of coffee. Was that Cal Quantrill? I'm sorry, you got to give that dude. You can't rush development. Let the dude get his time in, and then bring him on. Cleveland hosed him, and it's like, and he showed you what he can do. I think they rushed that. I think that was a screw up on Cleveland's part. But that kid, that kid's going to come out of nowhere next year, and he's going to be good. He's going to be really good. Really, really good.
But yeah, I cannot stand the fact. Now, like I said, there's still a lot of big names out there. I still think the Phillies have a very good shot of re-signing Jeff Hoffman. I hope they do, because I really like Hoffman a lot. He's been a great story here. But I still think that's not even enough, because you still have to replace Carlos Estevez. So why not go double dip, right? Why not go give me Jeff Hoffman and Tanner Scott? Or how about you call the Brewers about Devin Williams? Give me something. Give me something to work with here, Dave. God, well, you're with the freaking Tigers. You got a whole major league roster. You had Ian Kinsler. You got Prince Field. Like, give me something. Dave, I get you don't want to ruin the farm system, but you don't got to give up prospects to sign a free agent.
Right.
Come on, Dave. You're killing. Look at this. I've been going to games since I was a kid. You're killing me, Dave. You're killing me. Now, again, is this an overreaction because it's only December 12th? Absolutely. But you don't understand. I can't believe that the Mets added Juan Soto and we have not done shit. You got to respond to that. So you got to respond to that saying, oh, you're doing that? Okay, well, guess what? We're still here. So you have to say that. You want to say that you got Juan Soto? Okay, well, then we got to come out and say, okay, well, we're still here too. All right?
I was going to say, you need to come back with some big-time pitching. You need to come back with some pitching, some serious pitching ordeal, just to be able to say, yep, we're countering that Juan Soto. Don't you worry about it. We're going to make him look like he's lower-end, lower-class semi-star crap. I'm sorry. Not that I, bashing Soto or not.
And there's one more team that I want to talk about on this list that has made some moves, but actually there's two more, but I want to save them because I want to get into some predictions and I want to bring them up as we do it. So there's still a lot of big names in free agency. There's some relief pitchers. There's a couple starters left. There's a few hitters left. There's some outfielders, some first basemen. We also have some trade candidates. So we're going to start with the free agents. And the first name that I have up on my list, it's only a short list. I don't care where Jose Quintana goes. Okay, the guy's 35 years old, which means he'll be a Philly. It's perfect age, 35. And I still like him more than Taijuan Walker. So the first name up on my list for our remaining free agents is
I still have a rookie card of his.
Whose?
Jose's.
I don't know about Taijuan Walker. I told you to throw it out.
No, Quintana's. I still have a rookie card of it. It was a prism. It was a first silver prism baseball card, man.
I'm saying
I'm gonna find him and get it autographed.
No, I'm saying if it was Taijuan Walker, burn it.
Oh God, yeah.
I mean, actually, you could actually give it to him. He'll throw it to you, and you'll probably hit it 400 feet. But anyway, so starting off this list, we have Corbin Burnes. Now, last year, as we know, Corbin was the ace of the Brewers for a long time, and now he just comes off a year with Baltimore. 15-9, 2.92 ERA. The Orioles do not seem like they are in the market to re-sign him, so it looks like he's looking for a new team. The Red Sox were prepared to offer Burnes a big deal before the Garrett Crochet trade. I know I haven't talked about the Red Sox yet. There's a reason for that. I've heard the Giants are involved in him a lot. The Yankees there was a little bit with the Yankees there. I think the Phillies would make a lot of sense, but I don't think they're going to give another big contract out to a starting pitcher at this time because they gave Wheeler an extension. They gave Nola a big contract. They gave Sanchez an extension. Dave Dombrowski's still sleeping, so that ain't going to happen. But I heard the Mets early on, but I haven't heard much since Juan Soto. I think they've kind of shifted their focus to Pete Alonso, and then they're going to figure out. I also think the Mets want to re-sign some of their starters they had last year. So, where are some realistic landing spots for Corbin Burnes? You think, Georgie?
Well, he's declined a couple of qualifying offers already, so I don't know what he's looking for. That's the bigger question. What the heck is he looking for? And who's going to be willing to spend the money? I mean, he's 30. He's right there in the middle. He's right in the middle. So
what I have heard, it sounds like, and I think this will give you a little bit easier to make a prediction where you think he'll land. What I heard is he is going to get the same length as Max Fried, but it could be about 240 the contract. So it's maybe about 8 years and about $20 million more than what Fried got. So because he also throws harder, he's more of a strikeout pitcher.
So Detroit.
Oh, Burns and Skubal. Oh my God, that would be that's ridiculous.
Kind of sounds like, and pardon the phrase, but it sounds like the right ballpark right there.
That's a good, yeah.
I'd say Detroit, because Detroit's looking for something big to pair up.
Yeah, they got to make a splash.
Yeah. I mean, why not? You were in the play. You were, as Zolt even said, we were there a year earlier than expected. Well, now you're going to turn around and add another. You're going to add another arm in on the mix. Now you know you deserve to be there.
Not only that, you knocked out the Astros, and you were a game away from knocking out the Guardians.
Oh yeah, should have knocked out the Guardians, and then that would have made a real interesting ALDS with them versus the Yankees. I would have liked to seen that.
Oh yeah,
that would have been tons of fun. Tons of fun. So yeah, I'd say Detroit.
Okay, you're going with Detroit. Okay.
Yeah. So, I know you weren't expecting that one.
No, I like that a lot. I think that's a very good. That's a good prediction. I really do think that would be a great addition for the Tigers. You're pairing them up there with Tarik Skubal. Now they got to get Tarik Skubal locked up as well, but I love that. I love that fit. You give Skubal some help. Plus, I mean, and like I said, this week I give AJ Hinch so much credit. After Tarik Skubal, they were bullpen in every game. So to get another horse in your rotation like Corbin Burnes, you're just set. Me, I'm going to go. A few teams can go here.
You're like, dang it, it was good. That was a good team.
Like, damn, George, you just ruined my prediction. Doesn't even matter now. Damn. Now I'm going to go with.
I didn't mean to. I know you're all excited. It's like, oh, oh, damn, that was really good.
Whose show is this? Who's running this shit?
I was gonna say it's all yours. But damn,
all right.
Hey, I come up with something good once in a while. It happens.
All right. So my final prediction for Corbin Burnes, I have him going to the San Francisco Giants.
Yeah, nationally, that's
another really good ballpark for a pitcher.
Yeah.
The Giants, we've known this now for about 3 years. They have been trying desperately to spend money. They lost out on Aaron Judge. Thanks a lot, John Heyman. They tried to look at Shohei Ohtani. He was never going to San Francisco. I said this a few days ago. They had Carlos Correa for all of 2 hours until he failed his physical. But now, look what they did. It's funny. I'm watching his press conference right now. They add Willy Adames for 7 years and $182 million. Not only is that ballpark in San Francisco elite for starting pitchers, imagine getting ground balls to the left side of that infield with Adames and Matt Chapman. You're going to get ground ball outs for days. So I think because of adding Willy Adames, Adames was top 10 last year in NL MVP voting. He hit 32 homers. He drove in over 110. He's going to play a very above average shortstop. I wouldn't say he's like gold glove, platinum glove, but he's really good at shortstop. You're adding that to Matt Chapman. I still think the Giants are going to be in the mix for some more bats because they need them, but not only that, you're going to have and their rotation last year, it wasn't bad. Like, they got some guys in it. Like, you add Corbin Burnes to that. You still have Logan Webb, who still is one of the more underrated starting pitchers in baseball. They have Kyle Harrison, who they really like at 23 years old. So they still have. They could, if they still, Robbie Ray. Robbie Ray last year came back from Tommy John surgery, and he pitched pretty solid. Now, he'll be a full year removed from the surgery. Hopefully that helps him a lot. But You'll have to wait and see how that works. But also, what this also could do for the Giants, get Jordan Hicks out of that damn starting rotation. You saw it last year. He was exhausted by the end of the season. He was a hard throwing relief pitcher until this year, and they made him a starter. He was good early, and he ended up with an ERA over 4. Put Jordan Hicks back in the bullpen where he belongs as an elite level relief pitcher. And then that makes you better in 2 areas because you get Corbin Burnes and you put Hicks back in the bullpen. I think the Giants make a lot of sense. Like I said, I'm watching Willie Adames' press conference right now. They spent big money on Adames and got him there. And look, again, if you want to try to compete with the Dodgers and the Padres, you're going to have to spend some fazools. Because and just think, you're not just talking about the Giants here. Adames and Burnes help. You got to still compete with the Diamondbacks. The Diamondbacks are still really good. So basically, the NL West next year for me will be, sorry, Colorado.
Poor Colorado.
Yeah. Best hitting ballpark in the league because of the atmosphere, and nobody wants to sign there. But yet, if you look at every player that went away from the Rockies, they were never the same player after they left there.
No. Imagine Pete Alonso hitting out of that ballpark. Ooh, baby.
He may hit 60. He may hit 60 every year. But all right, so you got Corbin Burnes going to the Tigers. Blew my mind with it because I wasn't even thinking about it. I got him going to the Giants. I think the Giants are going to try to get another starting pitcher. I think Burnes fits that team perfectly. Good pitching ballpark, elite. And I'm saying elite left side of the infield. They've got one of the most underrated infields in baseball. And like I said, they still need more bats. But if I'm looking let me just really quickly look at this. If I look at the Giants roster and look what they have around, they have Adames, they have Chapman. Wilmer Flores right now would be their first baseman. I'm not sure how much that really. They have Lamont Wade is also another first baseman on their roster. I'm not sure how much that really, what that does for you. They have Young-Ho Lee, who last year hit 260 before getting hurt. He came over a couple of years ago. I think it was the year before. So they could use some outfield help. They have Heliot Ramos, their center fielder, who's only 25, hit 270, hit 22 dingers last year. They could still use somebody on the corner, maybe. I'm not sure how much more they're going to spend in the field. I mean, they still have Mike Yastrzemski, but he's been kind of just there. But yeah, the Giants I don't think they're done spending, but Corbin Burnes would help a lot.
Yep.
All right, next up, we have got Alex Bregman. And it does not sound like a reunion in Houston is going to happen. It sounds like the Astros or the band is officially pulling off and calling it a run. So Alex Bregman, of course, there's been rumors of the Yankees. There's been rumors of the Tigers. There have been rumors with a bunch of teams. So, George, I'm going to let you go first again. Where is your predicted landing spot for Alex Bregman?
Again, another one of those mid-age guys. 31 or so.
Yeah, another guy that's going to command around 8 years, $200 million, something in that range. Possibly maybe like 6 or 7 for $175, but he's going to get paid.
Yeah, and the scarier part is it's like, oh, he's going to want Jose money, and it's like, I'd almost say Washington or possibly Tampa.
I think Tampa's not spending that money. They don't even know where they're playing next year. They ain't spending that.
Listen, Tampa, as far as the whole, they know where they're going on that ordeal. Let's take that out of the equation. They've got to look at the team wise. Tampa does make sense, especially because of the way you're going to need to draw some people in. It's another team that has to make the splash without, say, you're making the splash without making a splash.
Plus, you're
Again,
competing in
but
that
again,
loaded AL East.
But again, Washington, trying to pick one from the national side, I'd say Washington could be another good one. Putting a veteran bat in on a young team, and he himself is still young enough to really become a leader for the squad overall. I'm not hating it.
I don't think that either, honestly.
I'm
Now,
not
as a
hating it.
Phillies fan, I don't like it at all. But that's not what I'm here for.
I know that.
Of course.
I know. I was like, I know this isn't going to be your favorable.
Now, the Phillies were rumored to be in on Bregman early on in the offseason if they were able to move Bohm, but that does not look like it's going to happen because I don't think they're going to get the package for Bohm that they want. I also don't think they're going to get Bohm in a package for something they want because I don't think teams are really high on it. So I think that's dead. Just from past experiences, which we both know of, there is no way in hell Alex Bregman is going to the Yankees.
No.
I have got one team. I'm not even picking a National League team because I have Alex Bregman going to the Boston Red Sox.
Huh.
Okay. Now, the reason behind it, Boston is officially out of their Moneyball playing games, which, by the way, you're the Boston Red Sox. Stop acting like you're the Oakland A's.
Well, no, but I don't think they're out of that phase. I don't think they're ever going to go out of that phase.
Oh, no, they are. When you go out and you get Garrett Crochet for all those prospects, you're done playing games. They got Garrett Crochet. Look, they already had a great rotation. They have Bayo, they have Cutter Crawford, they have Hawk. They have a great rotation already. Now they just added a 25-year-old power left-hander and Garrett Crochet. So the rotation is going to be good. They added Aroldis Chapman to help shore up that bullpen a little bit. Chapman did a fine job in Pittsburgh last year. So you add him. So basically what Chapman is doing is just making his rounds in the AL East. So
he can come on over into the Central. I got no problem with that.
Now,
on my squad. My squad.
Now, I know what people are going to ask, and they're going to ask, well, why would they sign Bregman because of Rafael Devers? I'm going to stay on this a little bit later because I have another potential target for the Red Sox.
Now you're making it sound like the Garcia Parra thing, and that didn't go over well.
I will explain it in a minute. I have
that
another
went
target
over
on
really, really badly last time.
I'm going to keep it. There's another target on one of these lists that I have for the Red Sox, and I'll explain to you why this is possible.
Okay.
But Alex Bregman, I think Bregman, they need a right-handed bat, a power bat. He's still a great fielding third baseman. And again, if you want to get into October and make some noise, he's one of the best postseason hitters you'll find. This guy bleeds ALCS. The guy's never not in the ALCS.
Right.
Well, except for last year, but still.
Well, yeah, last year. Okay.
So I have Bregman going to the Red Sox.
All right. Who's next then?
All right. Next up, we have is one of it's probably the top reliever on the free agent market, and that is Tanner Scott, who last year he spent time with the Padres before, and he was also with the Marlins. Easily the best relief pitcher on the market. So where could you possibly see Tanner Scott moving this offseason?
See, again, I'm going to say Detroit. It's like, man, Detroit could.
Dude, that's just the overkill. They have a great bullpen as it is.
Yeah, but I mean, you're locked. You're going to sit there and have to go through the bullpen and then lock, stock, and barrel. Boom, there's the closer. I mean, it's like sitting there looking at the Yankees from years ago. Why not?
Fair enough.
Because Detroit, even when that bullpen kind of carried through, the closing was.
It was. I would love to see Tanner Scott go to a team like
So
Detroit.
again, yeah, it's it's just making sense. Detroit could pull a couple of these guys, and ooh, baby, I'd be concerned. I'd be really concerned.
All right, so far with Tanner Scott, what I've heard, of course, the Yankees are in on every big name reliever out
The
there. I
Yankees
mean,
are on. Everybody's freaking going. Oh,
yeah.
the
Well,
Yankees
I
will
mean,
take them. The Yankees. Well, it's
well,
because
the
the
reason
Yankees got the money to blow.
Well, the reason is that they lost Clay Holmes to the Mets. They haven't fully guaranteed Luke Weaver will be the closer. Tanner Scott, I've heard a name for the Yankees. I've heard him rumored to return to the Padres. Of course, the Dodgers are in on him because what the Dodgers need more apparently. But my final prediction for Tanner Scott, I have him going to the Philadelphia Phillies. I think the Phillies
Okay.
need to remake that. They need to get that bullpen back to being the strength of the team. If they're not going to add a player in the outfield, they need to keep up the pitching. They still have a decent bullpen. They still have Alvarado. They still have Kirkering. They still have Matt Strom. Romano, I cannot trust that his elbow for 1 year to be. It's unfair to think he's just going to come right back and be a sub 2 ERA guy with a high strikeout rate. It's unfair to him and it's unfair to the team. I cannot have Romano be the only bullpen piece they add. I think Tanner Scott is easily going to be a Philly next year. So that's my prediction for Tanner Scott.
Okay. Next.
Next up is the guy that you're wearing, Polar Bear Pete Alonso.
Like I said, could see Nationals, could see Mariners.
Oh, I like the Mariners one.
Yeah. Those would be outside of trying to stay with the Mets. Those would be the two that I would say. Good Lord, guy, I just is like, oh well, Anthony Rizzo left the Yankees. It's like, yeah, so what? Big deal. Oh, the Yankees will turn around and buy him. It's like,
They're not getting Pete Alonso.
don't think they're gonna. I don't think Pete wants to go. I don't think Pete wants to go across the street. I don't think Pete wants to do it. So, I mean, if Pete's gonna bail out of New York, it's gonna be a full bail. And I'd say, like I said, Washington, that's a nice little park that he's solid in. And AL wise, I'd say Seattle. I mean, Seattle's no joke too. They're kind of coming on with a good young crew, just like Washington is. So, in fact, Scott could turn around and pull that one off too. Now that I think about it, Seattle.
You did to me. You're doing it to me again. It's like what you said with freaking Burns and the Tigers. The Mariners one just got me. Damn it.
Hey, I'm sorry. I was, coming off the cuff pretty good today. I must be on it. I must be on a good tear today. What can I say?
You are on a roll right now.
I guess
All
I
right.
get lucky twice in one day. Okay.
All right. So I'm not.
Sorry. Yeah. Where did you have?
I'm not getting cute with this. He's going back to the Mets. If the Mets don't re-sign Pete Alonso, then nothing. They are not going to be able to get to where they want to go. Because Juan Soto's a great player. Who's protecting him?
Right.
You need to get Pete Alonso back in New York. And I ain't talking about the Yankees. I have Pete Alonso going back to the Mets. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
Bruiser
All
would
right.
sit there and go, "What about Pittsburgh?" No.
I don't hate that idea, but they're too cheap to do it.
Right.
No, they want to trade all their starting pitchers so they can suck again for 5 more years.
Right.
They want to suck so they give Skeens a reason to leave so he doesn't have to get paid.
Oh yeah. By the way, the Skeens offer, I found it. I found it for you.
Oh, I can't wait to see what he gets when he's hitting the market.
No. Share screen it.
Oh God, what is this?
This is what the person who finds the card gets. This is everything they get. So
read that off for me.
It's this baseball card coming out of the Topps MLB debut set. And it's a 1-of-1 autographed with a patch card in it. And they're getting 2 Pirates season tickets behind home plate for the next 30 years. We're talking over a $7,500 value over the next 30 years with that alone. Just that alone. Second, a softball game for 30 of you, your closest friends at PNC Park, plus coaching from Pirates alumni. The spring training experience, the private tour of Pirate City and Labcombe Park, the meet and greet with Paul, 2 of Paul's jerseys autographed, taking batting practice and warm up with the team on those game days. All right. And they say, and other unique experiences at Pirates City, and Lacombe Park. So a couple of other probably little hits and misses on things.
All right. So
But
I got to do 3 things.
You're looking at over 10 GER in a lot of stuff.
Okay, so I have to do 3 things. I got to move to Pittsburgh. I got to find that card and find some friends.
Yeah, because I'm like,
oh my God.
a softball game for 29, you and 29 of your closest friends playing on a softball game.
I don't even know 29 people.
And that's with Pirates alumni. It's like, well, okay, let's think who that Pirates alumni could possibly. It would be a pretty cool damn list. Let's not get
that. Would be freaking awesome.
Yeah, that would be totally sick. Plus, you get to do the whole spring training thing on top of it, all for finding that little card. If you want to pay $40 a box, oh, that's just retail. Secondary market, you're paying $140 for this box easily.
Oh yeah,
and the big hobby boxes are going at $225.
Jesus.
Regular price for those about $60 to $80. But no, because this got put out there less than a month ago, Topps is making a killing and is going to sell out of these suckers so that they can turn around and they can get somebody's digging for this card.
That's unbelievable.
It's sick.
That is absolutely unbelievable.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're going to need to offer you something like that to keep fans in the ballpark since they don't want to spend money to bring fans in.
Right.
Okay, so it's that you threw me off again with the Mariners thing.
You're welcome.
All right, so next up on my free agent predictions list is that outfielder, Mr. Anthony Santander. And now this one's a little tough because, I've been able to give you kind of an inkling of who's been interested. I don't know who is in on Santander. Coming off a year, 44 homers, 102 RBIs. That's a tough one.
Cleveland.
Cleveland makes a lot of sense, actually.
Yeah, Cleveland. Well, that's why it won't happen, because it makes sense for Cleveland, and the Dolans are too damn cheap. Washington's all set. Probably Atlanta.
Why do you want to make my life miserable?
I'm sorry. I mean, well, no, you can't do Milwaukee. No. Yeah, I'm sorry, Atlanta, or
Oh,
Arizona.
oh, Santander would thrive in that park.
Arizona. Yeah, I was just gonna say Arizona's not a bad thought. Arizona's solid. There
It
you
is.
go. There you go. That's the only one I'd really even think of right now. I didn't have nobody in. I mean, I'm sure they're, like I said, Cleveland, but I know they won't do it. But nationally, yeah, Arizona makes sense.
This is where the Tigers can make some sense too. They could use another bat, a middle of the order bat in that lineup. But that is
But
not my prediction. My prediction, I have Santander going to the Nationals. I think they have a bunch of young hitters they like. I think they want to get a proven veteran in the middle of that lineup. I have Santander going to the Nationals.
yeah, well, the Nationals wouldn't it wouldn't be bad for them to get a couple of these guys.
Yeah,
So
no,
yeah, that's not bad. But again, the Phillies still have to screw and have to deal with it eventually.
I'm not worried about that. Santander does not fit the Phillies because he's going to hit 230, hit 40
No,
homers,
no,
and
no.
strike you out in the playoffs.
But I'm saying the Phillies have to still play against him.
That's fine. It is what it is at this point. But yeah, I'm going to go. I'll go Nationals there.
American League, you said Tigers.
Yes. Now, next up is Arizona Diamondbacks first baseman, and will probably be the hotter market after Pete Alonso is Christian Walker.
Yeah, because
And
he declined the qualifier from them. Phew. Again,
amount of
the Nationals, Mariners. I mean, the Yankees technically could pull it off. As I say, because the Yankees could go something cheap but worth it. So yeah, you could probably slap them with the Yankees. Actually, yeah, I'd say probably the Yankees. I'm going to go with the Yankees here.
I have a different first. Now I don't have this guy on my list because I totally forgot he was a free agent. I actually have the Yankees picking up another first baseman, an old friend of yours by the name of Carlos Santana.
Way, way, way too old.
So
Way too old. He
Chris
was
Walker's
he
34.
was Santana was already DHing. He's already strictly DHing. He won't be
Now,
first.
he was still playing some first for Minnesota.
A little. No, way too old.
Hey, fits perfectly with the Yankees.
no, no, no. Walker, he makes sense.
He does make a lot of sense for the Yankees. I
He
think that
makes
he
sense.
makes sense and them. So my other one. So my prediction for Christian Walker, I have him going to the Tigers. I don't think that they fully trust Spencer Torkelson. I think they've given him chances, and I just don't know if he's ever going to turn into it.
Mm,
Christian Walker, he brings that postseason experience. He
But
helps the middle of your order.
That's why I didn't put Alonso in Detroit
You
because
put
I think
Alonso Detroit because he's going to be too much money.
it don't matter. Illich will pay that. Illich,
I think
Illich. Are you kidding? If Detroit signs Pete Alonso and bounces Torkelson, you want to see how fast season tickets sell, dude? Holy crap!
Well, I know that.
In a
I
heartbeat,
think
they'd be back ordered on jerseys in a minute. In a minute, they'd be back ordered like hell. That's why I didn't bother with Alonso with Detroit. Because I mean, that's what I'd say. I think they're actually okay with Torque. That's why I wasn't even going to bother with it. But if you're
I
going to
don't think.
pull Torkelson off, Alonso goes right there.
Yeah, but Christian Walker's no slouch either. He's still going to hit you 30. He's going to play a very great first base defensively, and he brings a very good veteran leadership to that club. I think Christian Walker ends up in Detroit. I would not be surprised if the Yankees are there as well.
Okay, we're both thinking the Yanks. But yeah, you're gonna yank Torkelson off of the Tigers. Alonso's there because Illich likes making a splash,
That
a
is true.
big splash. And if that's gonna be the big splash for them to turn around and do, whoo, baby, yeah, he'll do it in a minute. He didn't hesitate doing it with the Red Wings and pulling every which way he had to make the superstars with that squad. Oh, dude, he'll do it. He'd do it in a second. Like I said, you're going to pull Torkelson off. Okay, fine. Because the minute you sign Pete Alonso, you know that dude's sitting there going, well, where am I going? Because I'm getting traded to somebody. So, oh, yeah, no, you're going to pull him off and you're going to say, yeah, you're going for Pete. Woo-hoo. Yeah, Pete's going to Detroit because he's going to want to be on a contender easily. And right
I
now,
still do not.
that's the squad. That is the best squad, A, that's going to pay you. And B, my God, that bat in that lineup. Wow.
All right,
Wow.
so moving on to our next one is a very interesting name that is still out there, and that's Teoscar Hernandez, who had a sensational year last year for the Dodgers on a one-year deal.
Yeah, that's and that's kind of the thing. Like, it's like, yeah, where exactly you were for your 1 year deal? Are you a one hit wonder? That bothers me in baseball. I'm not a fan of that at all. Which is why I'm
Well,
not too much of a fan of Soto, because look, dude, yeah, you're gonna have your one hit wonder years. Then after that, you're nothing.
well, so this past year, Teoscar hit 270, 33 homers, 99 RBIs. He's been a peripherally really good right-handed hitter since coming into the league. 2018, 22 homers, 57 RBIs. 2019, 26 and 65. 2020, 16 and 34. COVID season. 2021, 32 and 116. 2022, 25 and 77. 2023, 26 and 93. So he's been a consistent right-handed power hitter throughout his career. So now the Dodgers and him were reportedly interested in a reunion. I've heard that the Conforto deal kind of nixes that a little bit. I'm not completely sure if it's still a chance of him returning there or not.
I was gonna say, just because it was like, all right, that's the system that it worked. I'd say you stay put.
Yeah, I do too. But again, I don't know. I don't know if the Conforto signing was just to give him like that fourth outfielder off the bench role, or is that to try to have a guy ready in case Teoscar didn't resign? Because it doesn't sound like there's still some optimism, but it's not a lot of a deal getting done.
I'd almost say he'd stay on pat. I think he has to stay on pat. I wouldn't.
Yeah, I think
I wouldn't plop him anywhere else yet.
no. I'm keeping Teoscar. I'm keeping Teoscar over in LA.
Next,
Next up is our second to last relief pitcher, and that is Philly setup man Jeff Hoffman.
stay put.
I want him to, but I already had him getting Tanner Scott. They're not getting both.
Well, if you're not going to get Scott, then you stay put.
Yes, but since I already gave them Tanner Scott, honestly I don't know if they're going to keep Jeff Hoffman. I would hope they do. I think he should stay put too.
Well, if you don't, then it's real simple. You're flipping up with mine, and you send him to Detroit.
I can see Hoffman ending up with the Red Sox. They still need some. They could still use some arms in that back end. And Chapman is at this point in his career, is very up and down. So I could see Hoffman going to Boston if he didn't come back to the Phillies.
Actually, do pretty well in locking up the bullpen with Cleveland. It would be even more solidified. So you can see him in Cleveland.
Oh, you already, so you would take the reclamation project that's already been reclamated. I like that fit. You did it again.
Oh, hey, 3 times. All right. Yeah. Why not?
I like that fit. I like Hoffman going there.
And especially got to make, Cleveland's got to get solid on that back end. That would totally do it right there for me. I'm not mad at it.
Yeah, I like Hoffman. I would love for the Phillies to keep both him and sign Tanner Scott, but I wouldn't be upset if Hoffman. I think Hoffman will come back to the Phillies. I just think if there's some teams that it was in the Phillies, I think the Red Sox and the Guardians make a lot of sense. All right, next up we have Sean Manaea, who came off a career year with the Mets, 12-6. When he dropped his arm angle to that from that 12 to 6 degree stuff, he just freaking killed it.
This is another one I think it makes sense for Cleveland or Detroit big time because they're both looking for him, literally. They would both be looking for him. The hell with everybody else. You know who you know that these two teams are the ones that are really coming and gunning. Might as well. I mean, especially if that's where you want to go. Plus, again, Detroit will pay you. Cleveland, I'm sure Cleveland, it's like Cleveland usually makes one major sign. It's like if that's the one major signing, then so be it. But yeah, you can see Detroit or Cleveland immediately.
I could.
Would you?
For one, right. I think just like Pete Alonso, though, I think he is actually going to stay put. I think Sean Manaea is going to go back to the Mets. The Mets rotation right now is really weak. It needs help. Montas is not going to help much. I don't think Clay Holmes is the full-time starter. I have the Mets keeping Sean Manaea.
Yeah, but if they go through plowing through the money between Soto and Alonso, dude, there isn't going to be much left.
Steve Cohen does not care. He will spend whatever it takes to win. He said that. He doesn't care about luxury taxes. He doesn't care. He will spend no matter what. Now, if he doesn't return to the Mets, you said Detroit. I like that fit for Detroit. I could see
Minnesota.
Minnesota doesn't spend money.
Oh no, but that would help Minnesota really get a they would be like the next ones coming up and playing in the playoffs. So Minnesota, that could definitely be one of their key pieces. Don't think about them not spending because out of the blue, Minnesota paid to keep Joe Mauer. So guess
how
what?
many years back are we in now?
But I'm just saying, once in a blue moon, Minnesota will pay.
That is true. I'm trying. Another team I could see. What if the Diamondbacks? They added 2 starting pitchers last year. Jordan Montgomery was terrible, and Eduardo Rodriguez was hurt. I could see the Diamondbacks making a run at Sean Manaea. Diamondbacks are still a really good team. So, but I'm going to stick to my guns, and I say Manaea returns to the Mets.
Okay.
All right, so we have 4 more free agents. Then I have a small list of trade candidates, and then we'll get into the Golden Bat rule, and then we'll probably call it a day. So the next free agent on my list is, of course, the newest Japanese ace coming over, and that would be Roku Sasaki. Now, he's another guy. He's young. He's only 23. I'm thinking West Coast. I don't ever see these guys coming to the East. So I have a theory on where I think he'll sign. And I have my trade candidate list falls into place with this again. I'm going to start this one off because I have Roku going to the Padres.
Oh, contraire, mon frere. I think I got one. This one, mind blown. Kansas City. Wow, that look says it all. Yeah, where the hell did that come from?
Where did that come from?
Yeah, yeah. I think
Surprising.
that is the thing, is that, hey, get off from the West Coast crap. You want to try to get yourself into the meat and potatoes of the country. I could see Kansas City. I could totally see Kansas City.
I'd
I
say it.
know.
I wouldn't hate it.
And in ironically, it makes sense.
It
Again, that
does.
the AFC Central is so strong, minus a Chicago team, not to be named. Of those four teams officially in that division, all are super duper solid, and Kansas City, it would totally be like, yep, we're snagging that. And I could totally see Kansas City doing it. And it makes sense. This one totally makes sense.
I mean, if you look at it, you're looking at, Bobby Witt's already there. They've already got a really good pitching staff. They still have a solid bullpen, and you add Sasaki to that. That could be interesting.
Mm-hmm. Like I said, and it makes sense. It totally does. It totally makes sense.
It does. It makes perfect sense. Now, in
Which
terms of Sasaki,
means it's never going to happen, because it does make perfect sense. That's the sad
yeah, I'll
part
say
about these
welcome.
things.
Yeah, I was gonna say welcome to baseball, where nothing makes sense.
Right. But no, if I wouldn't be surprised, because everybody always says, yep, those guys have been paying so much attention to the West Coast teams, that I don't think these guys are thinking, it's like, oh, well, you want to be able to travel back and forth across the pond. Well, guess what? All you're doing is going from Kansas City down to Dallas, taking the Dallas flight out over to LA and crossing the pond instead. Not a big deal. So it takes you another 2 extra hours. No biggie. Go get paid, play in a solid damn ballpark, and enjoy yourself. Get some barbecue. Have a good time.
Yeah.
I mean,
So
why the hell not?
yeah, why not?
Why not?
Let's change it up a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Now, the reason I have Sasaki going to the Padres again, I have a trade candidate in that list that will spew some of that.
Okay.
Now, these next three games are kind of guys that are like they have upside, they have high upside. They're not like the big tickets, but they're second tier guys that could really help some clubs. What about Jack Flaherty? He was the big trade acquisition the Dodgers got for the rotation. Where does he make sense?
Cleveland again, Cleveland, because he was here. I'd say Cleveland again. I'd say he walked right back into familiar territory. Cleveland again. Let him sit down with Steven, have a chit chat. Yeah, I'd say Cleveland again. Do it.
My Jack Flaherty prediction, I have him going to the Atlanta Braves. Strider is not going to be 100% healthy for to start the year. You lose Max Fried. You need another arm in that rotation. It doesn't sound like Charlie Morton's going to be coming back to the Braves either. So the Braves are
Oh,
going to have to.
really?
Yep. It sounds like he's
Oh,
not coming back. So you need to find another arm in that rotation. And I think Jack Flaherty fits exactly what the Braves would be looking for.
hmm.
And I hate it. And I have two more guys. They were just guys I threw in here. I was kind of interested by them. The next one is Yankee second baseman Gleyber Torres. I have him staying with the Yankees.
Yeah, he ain't going nowhere.
There ain't much middle infield help out there if you're the Yankees. So,
Nope. He's
and then the last one I have is Red Sox closer Kenley Jansen.
Ooh. Huh. Stays. I think he stays. You can't let that walk out the door.
Yeah, but is Chapman not his? Is that not kind of a
Well,
replacement?
I don't know.
Kenley Jansen is almost like what Craig Kimbrell is right now. He's entering that end of towards the end of being like just good enough. He's no to me, he's not very dominant anymore, but
yeah, but technically both guys are.
now Kimbrell's done. Kimbrell is way done.
Well, I'm saying, what's his name? He's coming in. They're both getting up there. God, where the hell would you put him?
They got a weird one.
And again, you could go with Detroit.
You could. I have Kenley going to the Pirates.
Oh.
They brought Chapman in last year, so they like some older kind of towards the end of their career.
I think that's why they wouldn't do it.
Well, then it's the pot. No, because the Pirates like, look, we're spending. We gave Kenley 2 years. And the other reason I have the Pirates getting Kenley Jansen, if you go look at the second half last year, David Bednar was not good. He had like an ERA over 6 in the second half of the season. They're going to need some back end bullpen help.
Yeah.
So that's my Jansen prediction. And that, do you have one or did you?
Detroit.
Oh, you're going to go Detroit?
And that's if he doesn't stay, it's Detroit.
All right. So now that's the end of the free agent list. Now here are just some guys that are some trade candidates. This is only like 5 or 6 other guys. So first, the big one on the name right now is outfielder Kyle Tucker for the Astros. It sounds like the Astros are really, this thing is over. Bregman's going to leave. Tucker sounds like he's getting traded.
Yeah, Houston, it was fun while it lasted. Houston,
but now you have a problem.
Yeah, Houston, you are definitely, you started at the bottom of the barrel last year. Well, I hope you liked it because you will be there this year. No ifs, ands, or snots about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a dumpster fire now.
I mean, it's out. So like I said, Bregman's out. Tucker is probably going to. Tucker's getting dealt. It sounds like Framber Valdez could get dealt.
What else you got?
All right, so do you have a Kyle Tucker prediction? Did you give us?
Oh, where?
Yeah, where do you think it's the team that could make a move for Kyle Tucker? I have a couple scenarios. See, these are the scenarios that some of my free agent picks happened. I got a couple scenarios here for you.
Yeah, go ahead. I was going to say, because, yeah.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. Kyle Tucker is probably one of the best bats available on the trade market. When healthy, he's one of the best outfielders in baseball. Yes, he is going to command a nice contract when it's all said and done because he is a free agent after next year. However, I got a team that matches up with the Houston Astros. What the Astros are apparently asking for is some starting pitching help and MLB-ready corner infielders. So,
Cleveland's out.
I need this team to give themselves a shot in the arm. I said it earlier. I said it for days. I have Kyle Tucker going to the Phillies. You want to react to Juan Soto? You go get Kyle Tucker. You need an everyday left fielder. And if you put Tucker smack dab in the middle of that lineup with Harper, with Castellanos, you're set up good. And he's only 27 years old, 27, 28 years old.
And what are you giving up?
Bohm's going to, I'll tell you right now, Alec Bohm, you're going to have to be in this deal. And honestly, they want a starter. You want Ranger Suarez? You want a major league ready corner infielder? I think the Phillies match up pretty well for a Kyle Tucker trade.
They're probably going to ask for another one too. They may ask for two.
Well, if you start with Ranger and Bohm, then you could start throwing some prospects in.
Okay.
They'll have to throw one of those prospects in, but we would have to wait and see how that turns out. But I think Kyle Tucker to the Phillies makes a lot of sense. They need another big-time bat in that lineup. They need someone to help out these guys because they clearly in October cannot do it. So why not get a guy that beat him in October 2 years ago?
Okay. Next
up, Cody Bellinger.
Oof.
Now,
Oof.
the only what's wrong with Cody Bellinger?
Oof.
What is wrong with Cody Bellinger?
Okay. Ouch. Going to be giving up a couple kidneys for this one.
And I have Cody Bellinger going to the Yankees. They need to add hitters. They need to make first of all,
what's New York giving up?
They're going to have to give up something. This will probably cost them one of either Luis Gil or Clark Schmidt. But you have to replace Juan Soto somehow, and you need two hitters to do it. I've heard the Yankees are in on Christian Walker a lot, but I've heard those have cooled off a little bit. They need to get another outfielder, and they have got to get Aaron Judge out of center field. He's too damn big to be playing center field every day. He's an elite right fielder. He's a good center fielder. He's an elite right fielder. And Bellinger is a left-handed bat that you lose in Soto. He's not Juan Soto, but he's really good still. He plays a good center field. I have Bellinger going to the Yankees.
Wow, I would not be. Man, I can't believe that they'd say he's on the market.
The Cubs are frauds. That's what they are. The Cubs are frauds.
Okay.
Another team I've heard about Bellinger is the Blue Jays, but nobody wants to go to Toronto right now. They're too inconsistent. They have all that great talent. They're all too damn inconsistent.
Yeah.
All right. Next up, we have got Brewer closer Devin Williams.
Okay.
My prediction for Devin Williams, I think this is tough.
Don't say the Yankees.
He's not going to the Yankees. I think the Yankees are going more for the free agent relievers. I still think Tanner Scott could end up there. If Tanner Scott ends up with the Yankees, I can see that's where I see Jeff Hoffman going back to the Phillies. But I still think the Phillies land Tanner Scott.
Okay.
Devin Williams, I think if the Yankees do land Tanner Scott, I could see the Red Sox trying to pry into that, but I don't see him going to Boston because I have Boston with another trade candidate in my thing, and I'm not putting Boston with a super team here. So for Devin Williams, I'm trying. This is tough. I'm going to hate myself for this, but no, that doesn't make a lot of sense. Actually, yeah, it does. God damn it, I'm going to hate myself for this. I have the Atlanta Braves because Raisel Iglesias is getting older. Joe Jimenez, their eighth inning setup guy, is going to be out most of the year with knee surgery. So the Braves always find these damn controllable players that turn into guys that are a thorn in my side. So I could see Devin Williams going to the Braves. And the American League, I could see the Yankees being in on him. Not sure if they'll land him. I see the Red Sox involved. I could even see Baltimore if they really wanted to.
Seattle.
Seattle could do it as well. All right.
Makes
Next
a little
up.
bit more sense with Seattle, too.
Oh, yeah. San Fran could be involved in this as well. I don't know where San Fran is going to put the rest of their resources, still. I still think Corbin Burns is a big option. I still don't know if it's going to. I hope it happens.
Right.
All right. Next up, the Mariners are apparently looking to move one of their starting pitchers, and it looks like Luis Castillo is going to be that guy.
Really?
Because they don't want. Well, he's. I ain't trading any of the other ones. They have all their other ones are young and under control. And they have already been talking to this team. I have Luis Castillo taking that powerful right arm of his to the Boston Red Sox. Now, the reason I say this is because the Red Sox are already in talks with the Mariners on him. Apparently, it sounds like a trade that will be centered around Luis Castillo going to the Red Sox, and they will be sending young first baseman Triston Casas to the Mariners. And this is where I have Bregman going to the Red Sox, because if you move Casas, Bregman goes to third, they move Devers over to the other side. If the Red Sox walk out of this damn offseason with Alex Bregman, Garrett Crochet, and getting freaking Luis Castillo, you've added Crochet and Castillo, two power arms, to already what is a great rotation. The Yankees-Red Sox rivalry will be back.
Well, yeah,
and it will be fun.
You just hope that Alonso doesn't end up in Seattle then.
Oh, God.
What you got next?
Nolan Arenado.
My buddy.
Now, Arenado's tough. I don't know. Now, Arenado did narrow his teams down. He has 6 teams that he would.
Oh, okay. He's narrowed it down to 6. All right, who's he got?
Let me see if I can find the.
I love when these guys say, "I've narrowed my choices down."
Well, he has a no trade clause. That's what sucks.
Yeah.
So, and none of them make sense. Now, some of them do, but so
hit me with your best shot.
The 6 teams that he would okay a trade to would be the Red Sox. That's not happening because they are, even if they don't get Bregman, they still have Devers as of right now at third base.
Right.
The Phillies. That's not. I am not trading Alec Bohm for Nolan Arenado.
Why not?
Because Arenado's in his mid-30s. The bat production is going down. His chase rate at the plate is up. I already got a bunch of guys that chase shit in the dirt. Plus, he's expensive.
Okay.
The Astros. I don't think the Astros are going to take on his money.
No, that's a dumpster fire.
Another team they said was the Mets. He's not going to the Mets.
No.
The Padres. The Padres have this guy named Manny Machado, in case anybody forgot.
He ain't going there.
And my prediction is where he lands is actually the final team on his list, and that is the Yankees. I think the Yankees add Arenado and Bellinger. Those are the 2 bats they get. I think Arenado helps the Yankees a lot because here's the thing, right? And this is where Gleyber Torres is kind of questionable, because if you get Arenado, you move Jazz Chisholm back to second base.
Yeah.
So where's that leave Gleyber Torres? Because you ain't putting him back in short with Volpe. You're not DHing him. Gleyber Torres may be on the move.
Yep. Bye-bye.
I heard the Nationals and the Angels are interested in Torres, which that's the most Angel signing ever. So, yep, I have Arenado going to the Yankees. I think he makes more sense for the Yankees than he does anybody else. Because the other teams either have established third baseman or he just doesn't fit their lineup. But if you put Arenado in a lineup with Bellinger and Judge and Volpe and The Yankees are going to let their Dominguez play left. They need a center fielder still. But Bellinger would help that. But then they need a first baseman. I'm not bringing back Rizzo. It'll be interesting, but I think Arenado also said he wouldn't mind play. He would play first base, but I'm not moving Arenado off third.
Yeah.
He's still too damn good. He's still too damn good there. And my final two trade candidates is without. Remember, I said Roku Sasaki. I have him going to the Padres. The reason I have him go to the Padres because the Padres are apparently listening to trade offers for Dylan Cease. And I have Dylan Cease getting traded to the Baltimore Orioles, who need to replace Corbin Burns. They also have two other starting pitchers missing next year due to Tommy John surgery. So I think they pull another Corbin Burns and they bring in Dylan Cease. I think Sasaki goes to the Padres and fills in with Michael King, and I think that's what happens there. So that were my two free agent nibbles with the Red Sox and Padres. Trade candidates help out with some of this. And then the final one I have is I have reliever Ryan Presley, who has been the longtime closer and head reliever of the Astros. And I have him going to the Kansas City Royals. I think the Royals could use that veteran who's been there, done that in the postseason, the back end of that bullpen.
Okay.
And that is the final predictions for every remaining big name on the free agent market or on the trade market. If you have any baseball questions for me, my messenger is always open. But I think that those are where the remaining names will land. And it's going to be a heck of a couple weeks. Just because the winter meetings are over doesn't mean this crap ends.
Right. Yep. Without a doubt.
It's
the next 9 weeks are going to be tons of fun.
Oh, yeah. All right. To end the first edition of Hitting Home, we've got some rules to talk about. So,
fantasy
the worst
rules. Fantasy rules.
Rob Manfred, who is, by the way, the worst commissioner in all sports,
not just voted on by the fans, but by the other commissioners in the other sports.
No, he's definitely the worst. The
NBA dude is this close.
Silver Sparrow. The best commissioner in sports is Gary Bettman because his sport doesn't change.
Yep.
He says, go out there, skate, score goals, fight, hit, do whatever.
Yep.
Now, this is not a rule that is in play to be done this year, next year. There's buzz of it being one day a thing. And it's called the Golden Bat Rule. The Golden Bat Rule is a team could choose one at bat every game to send its best hitter up to the plate, even if it wasn't his turn to hit. That is what the Golden Bat Rule would result in. Since my lovely guest is such a big fan of rule changes in baseball, I'm going to let you, Mr. George, start this off. And by the way, if you're watching with us, what is your opinion on the Golden Bat Rule? Is it a good rule? Is it stupid? Indifferent? Should it be involved in baseball? Is baseball becoming more like sports entertainment? Let us know. But George, what do you think?
You stole my thunder there. I was going to say, this is pure sports entertainment now. It's almost crazier than my fantasy scoring and my fantasy football. And you're going to turn around and put fantasy baseball, goofy crap like this. Oh, I'm sorry. What are you going to do if the guy who you want to be at bat is already on the base pad, genius? Did you think of that one? You're going to have to put a pinch runner on the base, have this guy come back up to bat. So if the guy got a double, you got to turn around and say, okay, guess what? You're going to bat again. So you're going to be able to bat 2 times in a row?
Or what does it do to the batting order for the rest of the game?
Well, that too. It's like, oh, well, wait a minute. He's up in 3 batters. He gets up, he strikes out. ends up back on the bench, but he's back up a couple batters later. Like I said, I know he mentioned this on somebody's podcast. It's like, dude, shut up. Quit being stupid. Quit trying to throw tongue in cheek. Oh, yeah, we're just joking. No, you were never joking about it. You want to turn around and see what kind of stupid, idiotic things you could try to come up with to make the game a little bit more fun. You've already ruined the damn game with pitch clock, ghost runners. Get the hell out of here. You and all the rest of the damn millennials, eat it, dude. Put the damn game back the way it was. Leave it the hell alone.
Listen, the other problem with this is people sit here and they act like they say baseball fans are like cult leaders. They can't change anything. Everything has to stay the same. Yes, because baseball is historic. It's more of a historic than any of the other three sports ever have been. It's called the national pastime. So let me explain this once again, okay? This is what we're going to call, I may need you to make me a graphic for this. It's going to be called Dumbasses 101 with Sam Nelson. Because let me explain to you how this works, okay, people? If you don't like the way that Major League Baseball, if you don't like the way Major League Baseball was played, where there was a chance of going into extra innings, which, by the way, extra innings only occurred about what, George, 15% of the time?
Yeah, you get more overtime in football than you get in extra innings in baseball.
Exactly. And that's the one thing, the small little things that the NHL does do to change their rules. Like the NHL does the overtime 3-on-3. Easily the best freaking thing ever. I love 3-on-3 hockey overtime.
Beautiful adjustment. I'm sure commissioners back in the 20s wish they would have thought of that.
Like, yeah, you guys suck. But now, if you don't like the way that baseball was played, don't watch it. Don't go. Oh, I'm not wasting my money in case they're going to extras. Don't buy. And for the people saying, oh, baseball was losing their fans. No, they weren't. Let me once again explain to you what draws baseball fans. There is no, I don't care what they say, there is no scientific or any analytical evidence that tell you that the pitch clock drew more fans in.
Nope.
Ain't no one was going to watch the Pirates this year because of the pitch clock. Nobody was going to watch the A's because of the pitch clock. No, those teams' fans don't show up because their team stinks. Here's how you're going to save baseball. You don't need to put a salary cap. What you need to do is you need to put a signing date for free agents, because these guys that sign like 2 weeks before spring training or in spring training, that's ridiculous. You also need to set a salary cap, not a ceiling, a floor, so that teams have to spend a certain amount of money. Because do you want me to tell you this? When you're a team that doesn't draft well or develop well, this is how you draw fans in. If you spend money, you know what money brings in? Good players. You know what good players bring? Wins. You know what wins bring? Fans. You know what fans bring? Money.
And wrong way. Chat box up this way. Chat box up this way. Anthony, I like long games rather than the short games. You know what long games means? More concession stand money. More, as they say, more beer money.
Exactly.
More time for people to go to the team shop, spend more money. You don't want people coming in, hurry up, grabbing a couple things and leaving. Heck no.
Yeah.
How do you think retail stores are laid out, dude? Come on. Use your brains.
I have sat through multiple extra inning games. I have sat through a 19-inning Phillies game to where Wilson Valdez was their second baseman and he pitched. And it was the best game I ever went to.
Ooh, that's
I then went to a game 2 years later to where they had John McDonald, their shortstop, pitch. Now, they lost that game, but the first one they won. I sat out in that ballpark till 2, and I didn't get home till 2 in the morning on the one game. Now, luckily, the other game was in the afternoon, so it was like 7, 8 o'clock that day. But the fact that we sit up here every year and baseball is like, dude, first of all, this is not the WWE. This is not the Savannah Bananas, because the Savannah Bananas is what did this. The golden bat rule is stupid. And you know what this is? This is them doing what the NFL does. They are catering to the hitting. Pitching and defense is not going to matter soon. Just like in the NFL, you can't play defense anymore. Everything is catered to the offense because they think that's what sells tickets. Okay, that's cute and all. You're never going to draw in a younger fan. You know what draws in a younger fan base? When their team is good. That's how you draw in a fan.
Yeah, you're not the Savannah Bananas. That's a whole. It's its own entity. Leave.
Yeah.
Don't try to copy it because you are going to suck at copying it first and foremost. That is the most unique thing of baseball playing that could ever be done. Leave it alone. You can't do it. You're peeved because you can't do it. And you want to try to pull a XFL, NFL. Oh, we'll just copy it. No. Nope. Don't try copying it because it won't work in your system. The banana ball is specific, strictly specific to how they play that style of baseball. You can't copy it. Don't bother trying to copy it. They've got it trademarked. You're hosed. Don't even think about it. Move your butt along. Leave it alone. You ain't gonna get there.
I'm sorry. The Mets last year, before they got good, they weren't drawing fans. Or you think teams of Mets fans this year are going to show up because there's a pitch clock, there's a golden bat. My team signed Juan Soto.
Whatever.
The Phillies didn't draw crap for a decade. But when you sign Bryce Harper, oh man, 40,000 strong once again. And then, you know what Bryce Harper did? He made a guy named Zach Wheeler want to come here. And then he made a guy named Kyle Schwarber want to come here. And then a guy named Nick Castellanos came here. And then a guy named Trey Turner showed up. And now the Phillies have been to the postseason 3 straight years, and they're a good baseball team again.
Yeah, what if your batter is the guy he's doubling up, Sam? Imagine this crap. Dude turns around and he strikes out. Both at bats back to back, but then the next man up turns around and crushes one. That's like, oh, whoops, you just wasted it. Way to go, stupid. Yeah, no.
You only do it once a game. So, and like that's the thing. Like, yeah, it's pointless. Yep. It is absolutely pointless.
Yep, 100%. Stupid.
Rob Manfred should have been removed as commissioner of baseball after the lockout because he screwed that up too to get to the point of a lockout. And ever since then, the only good thing that baseball did. There's only one rule change over the past how many years that I fully agree with. Pitch clock, I like it to some extent. I still listen. When you're a man who works at 6 a.m., it's kind of nice if you get down a little earlier. That's all I'm saying. I agree with you, though. We did a Dueling Aces episode about this. I agree with you on the injuries, and you're speeding these guys up. You're not giving their arms enough recovery time when they're throwing this hard. But yet you want them to throw 100 because you think people care. Newsflash, I don't.
Nope.
The only rule that baseball has come up with over the past couple of years that has made perfect sense, I compare it to the hockey 3-on-3, was giving the National League the DH.
Agreed.
Because I'm sorry. I didn't care about stuff. Look, I had Roy Halladay hit 071 every year he was on the Phillies. I don't care about a starting pitcher hitting 070 for 130 at bats. Because you know what sucked? Is when you got in like the 3rd inning and, bases loaded, 2 out, and Joe Blanton's hitting. Oh, well, this shit's over. Like now, It makes the game more interesting. I will say that is still a very good rule. But the pitch clock is causing a lot of pitching injuries. If you're going to keep it, you have to add some time to it at least. These people need to understand, and I love this. How affected were you if a pitcher got off the mound and just adjusted some stuff? Do you understand that these guys are out there 180 innings throwing they're throwing a speed that the human body is not supposed to?
Nope.
So for the people that bitch and complain like, I had to sit there and watch this guy take 20 seconds to get ready. Yeah, it's called I'm trying not to tear my UCL on my elbow. Thank you very much.
Yep.
So once again, if you didn't like the way the game was played, don't go. Don't watch. Nobody cares. And for a lot of people, and this is not offense to any of my friends who have kids. Oh, they're saying, "Oh, the young kids are coming." Yeah, and you know what I see around? I've been to multiple Phillies games, and I see all these young kids there. You know what I say?
Yeah.
They don't care.
Nope.
They were brought there. They were probably forced to be brought there by their parents. They don't care. They're not
Even
going to watch it. They don't care.
even on the minor leagues, with the Crushers over here, the kids are always on the bounce houses or running around with their friends on the big hill and whatnot. They
Yeah,
could care less about the game.
exactly.
So yeah, it's they're not they're they're barely intrigued about it, and especially if they go with their friend. Because one time I took Bryce and several of his friends to actually watch T3 play against a team who traveled from Hawaii to play, which was really cool. And Ryan was umpiring the game. It was a blast to watch, and it was a really good game as well. I mean, and the kids, I could tell it's like Bryce and his buddy, they wanted to just kind of walk around because they had access to walk around the whole stadium because nobody was really there. And it was like, guys, we came to watch the game, watch the
Yeah,
baseball game. But guess what? Bryce is like, if I'm not playing in it, I don't want to sit through it.
yeah.
Bryce would rather be playing in it than trying to sit through it. Now, I think that will change in the next year to two, maybe, when it comes to stuff like this. But it's like right now, yeah, the younger kid, no, they're like you just said, they're on these, they got these, not paying attention, which is why they had to expand the netting because they didn't want fans who are on their phones not paying attention to the game to get hit in the face with a bat or a ball.
Well, so I don't mind. Well,
You got
that's
to
good. I don't
protect the
mind.
stupid. I'll say
Yeah,
it.
but you
I'll
know
say
what?
it.
There's also people that if you were watching the game, it's really hard to shield yourself from a baseball coming at you 108 miles an hour. That is impossible to shield. Like that's I don't mind the safety net.
Well, I'm just saying, but it was because a lot of people were on their phones or tablets or whatever, and they're not paying attention to the ball game.
Well, here's the thing. Then another thing you look at is you look at the girl with the. Did you see about the girl at the Eagles game? She got mad because Jake Elliott missed a field goal and it hit her in the head, and she was making a TikTok in the middle of it. Well, I'm sorry. It baseball, I understand. How on earth do you not see a football that is being kicked in your general direction? How do you not look up and see that thing coming at you? That's your fault.
It's not, and the net is huge. You think in time making the game shorter will increase the prices?
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
Anywhere they can make money.
Yep. And you got to make the ballpark smaller because you're not fitting people. That's what Cleveland did. Cleveland tore out 1, 2, 3, 4, almost 18 sections and put up like Hall of Fame mural things in those where those sections were. They just look like giant cubes around the ballpark in the upper
Yeah.
deck sections because they couldn't fill it no more. So guess what?
The Phillies, if you go out to Ashburn Alley, their Wall of Fame murals used to all be right by the visiting bullpen. But I think the visiting bullpens got sick and tired of the fans yelling at them. So they removed it and they put all the murals behind the left field scoreboard, which is actually cool. It's more spread out and nice looking. It's something to look at. They got two big replica World Series trophies of the one from 1980 and 2008. It's really cool, but yeah, but again,
Oh, they don't like the "you bum" guy screaming at them. What's the matter?
well, to be fair, when the Phillies opened Citizens Bank Park, they were on the top bullpen, but then they were getting told they sucked every night, so they moved to the bottom. Like, yeah, we ain't doing this. But there's this one guy. I don't know. Did you ever see the documentary, The Turnaround? It was about the Trey Turner standing ovation on Netflix. So
No, where was that?
it's all. It just go on Netflix. It's called The Turnaround. It's a half-hour documentary about the Trey Turner thing. And one of these guys is a Philly sports content guy, and there's the Braves assistant pitching coach is Eddie Perez, and he used to heckle Eddie Perez every time the Braves came. It was a year-long thing, and Eddie Perez remembered him.
Wow.
Like the first time he did it, he said, "Welcome to your worst nightmare. I am here to torture you for innings."
Nice.
Well, yeah, it was like it was one of the funniest videos I ever watched. But yeah, again, baseball. Let me explain this once again. Baseball will only draw fans. Do you think teams go and watch bad basketball teams? First of all,
I'm pleading the fifth. Nope, you ain't suckering me into this one. Nope, not gonna do it.
First of all, I'll explain to you right now. For all the people that say baseball is the worst league in the world, actually no, the NBA is the worst. The NBA stinks. The NBA Cup thing is stupid. There's no physicality left in the game. George, come on. You got something to say. What do you got to say? Come on.
Oh, my God. Dude, we've already almost been on here 3 hours. We don't have another 3 hours to cover this.
All I'm asking was...
We don't, because I literally could go 2 hours on this. I swear to you.
All I'm going to say is, yeah, Kyrie was there. I don't remember a lot of Cavs fans showing up when LeBron left. I don't remember any Charlotte Bobcats.
I'm pleading the fifth because we ain't got that kind of time. We really don't.
I don't remember the last year that they were the Bobcats that their fans showed up. And I could tell you now, I only did this because the tickets were like AA baseball cheap back then. When the Sixers won 10 games in a season, nobody showed up to that either. Fans don't show up because the product of the team stinks. They don't care about what rules you implement.
Yeah, it's only in season for another 2 or 3 days.
Anthony. Yeah, we don't have to see it again for the rest of the year. But again, that's because they're trying to make like college basketball. The reason college basketball does stuff like that is because there's like 90 teams in the country.
Right, and they do multiple different ones, and invitationals, exactly. And it's invitationals and stuff.
That's not only that. There's multiple conferences. There's 2 conferences in the NBA, which, by the way, I know we don't want to be on here because you said we could be here for 3 more hours. The NBA did say that there are people that would like the NBA to go, instead of 8 teams from each conference, have a 16 seed universal conference. Best 16 are in. I don't care if it's 15 East, 1 West. I'm like, that's a good ass idea.
Jesus, Christopher.
No, that is better. No. That is better than the stupid play-in shit that they're doing now. The play-in stinks.
I agree, because I hate the baseball play-in. I hate the baseball play-in crap.
Oh, you don't like the wild card play-in?
I don't like the extra play-in game for the NCAA March Madness. I think that's stupid too.
Wait, go back to the...
didn't make it, tough beans.
Yeah, exactly. I don't mind... Like, baseball, the wild card series, that's actually kind of fun for me. I mean, granted, my team did get to the World Series because of that, so I'm not going to really be too upset about it. But, like, the NBA play-in, I don't need to watch the number 1 seed face a 36-win team. Because that's the problem. At least in baseball, George, with the wild card, the last wild card team was like an 89 to a 90-win team at least. At least they were good, and that's it. Basketball, you're watching teams that won 35 games. What do they deserve to get a shot at this for?
I agree. I agree that it makes sense.
Like I said, every sport, hockey, Football, basketball, baseball. One thing draws fans: teams that are good. That's the point of sports. That is the point of the whole thing. Enough with the rule changes. You want to call me and George dinosaurs because we like baseball the old school way? Then I'm a pterodactyl. Because baseball will be ruined if Rob Manfred is not removed. He will ruin the game. Because then guess what? They'll be doing the golden bat rule and stuff down in college, high school. It'll go down, there'll be a trickle down effect. And they'll ruin the game. Because that's how you get young kids hurt.
Yep. They're already getting too many young kids hurt with the damn pitch clock. So it's already starting. And probably hopefully just a few years from now, somebody will come across that realization and go, yep, this was a bad idea. You're damn right it was.
Yeah, the problem is the only guy that matters to find out if it's a bad idea is a blithering idiot.
Yeah, well, and the other thing is, of course, is everybody's like, well, the TV people like it. Well, no kidding. And then when your game is done 35 minutes before your TV time contract was up, Jesus, what are you stuck doing? Oh, yeah, there's nothing. You morons. But they don't care.
Nope, they don't. They'll do whatever they think is good for the league, and it's not.
And, of course, those post-game people are like, God, we already covered everything, and we still have another 25 minutes to go. What the hell could we possibly overkill on the post-game show? What else can we do? Can you grab somebody out? Can you grab 3 or 5 people out of the locker room so we could do 8 interviews? Jesus.
Like, let me just ask this question real quick. Do you really think what the Oakland A's did over the past 2 years, over the past decade, making their team play in a stadium they refused to renovate, not signing players when the team was winning 90-plus games a year, you think that's good for baseball? Tanking on purpose? You think that's good for baseball? Do you see what the NBA did to the Sixers, who did it on purpose? Do you think that's good? Okay. Like I said, baseball wants to fix their fan problem, make teams spend money, bring in better players, make the fans want to come watch good baseball. If you put a salary cap floor on a limit on teams have to spend, oh yeah, the big markets will spend, but then the Pirates will spend. The Guardians will have to spend, and they'll get better. Because again, if you win a World Series, isn't that the goal for every team to win a whole damn thing? Do I gotta go Jake Taylor in this thing? Are you going to watch Major League, win the whole effing thing? Come on. This isn't that hard.
Yep.
But anyway, George, I want to thank you, first off, to being my special guest on this first edition of Hitting Home. I don't have a lot of other people that would want to talk baseball more than 3 hours more than you. This is a great show. We knocked out a lot. We talked about Juan Soto. We talked about the Yankees and Max Fried. We broke down all the names that have signed so far. Hell, I may have to do another one of these in a month from now after all these other damn names sign off. But I want to thank everybody who joined us today. Our few little comments. Dalton threw one in here. Anthony threw in a couple. I want to thank everybody for joining us. I hope you all enjoyed the first ever edition of Hitting Home. If you didn't get a chance to watch us live, always can go back on 609's YouTube and Facebook page to watch it again. And while you're over on 609 stuff, go hit like, go hit subscribe. And of course, as always, you can catch our good friend George and his guys on Monday nights at 9 o'clock following 609 Sports Talk, which is on at 5:30. They talk a whole bunch of stuff, and sometimes they will trigger you to where you have to show up on the show just nowhere. But once again, thank you everybody for joining us this afternoon, even though we are now approaching into the 4 o'clock hour when this started at 1. But thank you all for joining us. If you didn't get a chance to watch it live, get a chance, go back to rewatch it. We knocked out a lot today talking about baseball. I will see you guys on Monday at 5:30 with my co-host Tyler Adams for 609 Sports Talk. We'll be talking a whole bunch of stuff, NFL recap. There's a certain new head coach in college football we'll talk about. And then, of course, we'll give our college football playoff predictions. And for we also have a special guest joining us on Monday as well. We actually have 3 of us on the show for 609. And I'm going to just leave it at that. You'll all have to get a chance to see that on Monday at 5:30. So everybody, enjoy the rest of your Thursday. Have a safe and happy weekend. And we will see you guys on Monday. For my good buddy George G3, I am Sam Nelson. Good night, everybody, even though it's 4 in the afternoon.